designed to provide a fast and economical racing class, and they have succeeded. The rules are simple. The wing area needs to be a minimum of 66 square feet. The cockpit height must be a minimum of 30 inches. The center of gravity must be between 8 and 25% mean aerodynamic chords. The empty weight must be a minimum of 500 pounds. The aircraft must have a fixed main landing gear with 5.00 by 5 wheels. There must be a fixed pitch propeller, and no metal props have been allowed after 1987. The fuel tank must have a minimum 5-gallon capacity. The plane must be powered by a restricted Continental O200 engine. This is the same 100 horsepower engine used in the Cessna 150 trainer. The structure must be capable of withstanding at least 6 Gs, and the visibility must be 25 degrees over the wing, 5 degrees over the nose, and 45 degrees upward. If the aircraft satisfies these design constraints, it's ready to fly in a Formula One air race. And now, here are race and color commentators John Nicholson and Bernie Dunleavy to call the second silver race for the championship points.
Flying low around the far pylons now, Ray Cody in number 4. Alley Cat appears to be taking the lead. Jim Miller is up high. Bruce Bohannon down very low in the dark yellow Pushy Galore, making a move now, fighting for second place. Ray Cody, it appears, with a good solid lead as we go around the far side, and Bohannon makes a move for second. Jim Miller still flying very, very high, now back in 5th place. What a duel out there for second place. But Ray Cody and Alley Cat, as we come around, appears to have a pretty good solid lead. Indeed he is, opening it up. And again, Ray yesterday was in a solid second in the gold as we finished lap 1 before having to pull out. Ray Cody opening up his lead as we once again head around the far side of the course, and it's a battle for second. Cody opening up space, and if his engine holds up today as it did not late yesterday, it's going to be a battle for second, third, and fourth. But again, they're piling up points, so you don't have to finish first necessarily to move up in this race. You've got some fast airplanes here. Bruce Bohannon now solidly taking over second place. And here comes a move by Kevin Kelly, trying to get by Dave Morse. So you've got Ray Cody, Bruce Bohannon, Dave Morse, and Kevin Kelly moving on him. And now Kevin Kelly in Barbara Jean Squared is by Dave Morse. Ray Cody continuing to open up distance. Bruce Bohannon now with Kevin Kelly in pursuit. Jim Miller, who does not apparently have full power, he has said his engine is not in terrific shape, is going to stay high apparently and just try to get through. Cody with a big lead. Bohannon passing the whole pylon.
Number 42 is third.
And Kevin Kelly just behind him. Up high, Steve Myers and Smitty's Firefly is 4th. And Crazy Dave Morse, falling back to 5th in Sahara. Jim Miller is up high in 6th and apparently out of it.
Here comes Ray around the number 6 pylon now.
And then the Buddy brothers bringing up the rear, and here comes Ray Cody low and fast past the home pylon, and now he's looking to get laps on the Buddies. Look at this battle for second place. Kevin Kelly coming on Bruce Bohannon right at the home pylon, and they are going wingtip and wingtip even as they go back around the pylons at the west end of the course. Steve Myers up high, sounds like he is sputtering. Bohannon still with the inside for second place. Kelly high and wide trying to go by him. Bruce won't let him do it yet. And Ray Cody is now running away with this heat. He has lapped both George and Bobby Buddy. Here comes Bohannon opening up a little space. He's down low in the pusher. Kevin Kelly coming a little bit higher to the outside at number 42, Barbara Jean Squared. Up high in fourth place, Steve Myers and Smitty's Firefly, and apparently he's going to stay high and just try to hold that position. Dave Morse and Sahara putting along now in fifth. And Jim Miller with the Pussycat still going in sixth, but he's keeping it high and trying not to push it too hard.
Ray Cody.
Ray Cody again. If he can keep that engine running smoothly, it's going to be an easy victory and in all likelihood a move back up to the gold final for Ray. But here comes the real race. Bruce Bohannon and Kevin Kelly. Bohannon still with a slight lead over Kelly. Smitty's Firefly up high, and again they have, all of those planes have lapped the Buddy brothers. As we pass the control tower on the opposite side of the field, Kelly once again appears to be making a move on Bohannon. He looks like he's got him by maybe a nose, but keep in mind that Kevin's flying to the outside as Ray Cody finishes lap number 7 with almost a half lap lead. Look at them on the knife edge on the left end of the field. Bohannon in the yellow plane. Kevin Kelly up high. Bohannon still with the lead with 1 lap to go, but not by very much. Can Kevin Kelly make it go any faster? Can Bruce Bohannon, who had some problems yesterday, keep it running? 3/4 of a lap to go. Ray Cody, it appears, is going to finish this one out with an easy victory.
Passing Crazy Dave.
Trying to catch Crazy Dave, but the finish doesn't do it. But he's got the win. Here comes Bohannon and Kelly again. Bohannon low, Kelly high. Bohannon with just about a nose lead. And now, 1 lap to go. The rest of the traffic is strung out. The Buddies have been lapped. Jim Miller at number 14 just flying high to keep the airplane safe. Bobby Buddy flying high. Here is Ray Cody, and he climbs for air. Ray Cody, your easy winner. And going up right behind him, Crazy Dave Morse, because once the guy in front of you has finished, you're done. So Ray Cody is your winner. Now the battle for second. Here comes Bohannon. Here comes Kelly. Bohannon looks like he's got it. Flying low, and he does. Bruce Bohannon, a nice run in Pushy Galore, followed almost immediately by Kevin Kelly in Barbara Jean Squared. So, Ray Cody, Bruce Bohannon, and Kevin Kelly. We said before the race started they would ordinarily be gold racers. In all likelihood, when we add up the points, the guessing is you'll see them in the gold final this afternoon. Certainly Ray Cody, and likely also Bruce and Kevin. We'll have to see how that works out as the rest of the airplanes finish out their laps. And we have completed our first race of the day. A powerful run for Cody. An excellent chase between Bohannon and Kelly. And then the rest of the field, no pull-ups today. That's excellent news. Everybody's still running well. And we'll be back for this afternoon's finals.
Yeah. Ray, nice race.
It was a pleasure. Yesterday we had some trouble and I had to pull out, and today everything kept running well, and we were able to get into first place.
Okay, tell us a little bit about the aircraft.
The airplane is very fast, very fast. You have to fly at 100% of the time, and Probably would go faster with a better pilot.
Going into some of the tight corners, you must be looking at anywhere from 4 to 6 Gs.
Sometimes more than that. Yes.
Wow.
It's probably going up to 7 here on number 6 pylon.
Okay, now we notice when you actually finish the 8 laps, the concept for the pilots is to pull up and indicate that they are finished?
Yes, and we pull up to the inside of the course to clear all the area for the other airplanes that are still flying, and we go into a left-hand circuit and come around for a landing. And usually the winner leads the parade of airplanes in for the landing.
Average speed for your aircraft, for your plane?
Well, the airplane's capable flat out of better than 270 miles an hour, but when you pull in G's and the induced drag on the airplane, things like that, we qualified at 241. I think some of our laps might have been 250 today.
The 1996 Vancouver International Formula One Air Races kicked off on the Thursday prior to race weekend with a Meet the Pilots press conference at the Delta Town and Country Inn.
Saturday, August 17th, and Sunday, August the 18th, International Formula One Air Racing, what is the real fastest sport of the year, lands at Delta's Boundary Bay Airport. And as you can see, we've got 2 of the planes here today. In addition to being able to get up close and personal with Pushy galore, you will also be able to have a good look at Pushy's nemesis. As many of you know, this sport is very, very popular in the United States, particularly the Reno air races. And what we hope to present to you on Saturday and Sunday is almost a direct duplication of what goes on with air racing in Reno, albeit with the Formula One aircraft.
Sunny Delta will host Canada's first ever Formula One airplane race, and I think that's a bit of a coup for this area and in fact for Canada to host this event.
Ladies and gentlemen, there are 7 of your pilots for the inaugural Vancouver International Air Races. These gentlemen will be joined by 11 other pilots for race day. These pilots will be available tomorrow during certain times out at Boundary Bay, where I'm sure they'll be working and putting the final preparations on their planes along with their crews. Thank you very, very much. Thank you for everybody coming out today. We look forward to seeing you all Saturday and Sunday, and let's have a great one here in sunny Delta. Thank you very much.
The 1996 special event coverage from Delta's Boundary Bay Airport is a production of Delta Cable's television community programming, serving North Delta, Ladner, Tawasin, and Point Roberts. We're going to take a look right now at some of the profiles of the pilots and their crews. Ultimate question first that everybody at home wants to know, why did you get involved in these in the first place?
Oh, absolutely. The best e-ticket ride around. When you've been flying or being a pilot, you keep going faster and faster. You keep developing your skills. Well, racing is probably the ultimate test of a pilot's skill. Going around the pylons at 40 feet in the air at 250 miles an hour is absolutely the most thrilling thing in the world. The way I got into it, I was brought in actually through another team. John Sharp, who right now holds the course record for Formula One, got me into racing in the early 1990s. And hopefully at this race we're going to chase the chief and see if we can get him. We're going fast enough. We should actually get him.
You must have an aviation background.
Actually, my father was an aerospace engineer. I'm an aerospace engineer by second studies, and so I've always been involved with aircraft and always interested in air racing, and it's been absolutely a dream come true to race.
Any special training that you really had to undergo to take this?
Actually, besides honing my skills to the point where I could perform full aerobatic maneuvers to qualify for racing. No, the training actually comes afterwards when you go out and practice on the course and learn to fly the pylon course. And hopefully you have a good good coach like John Sharp or Bruce Bohannon or one of the pilots that have been around longer.
Formula One is amazing, really, because it goes back to 1947. I mean, can you imagine any racing series in motorsports that has a 50-year history, almost unbroken? We virtually have the same rules that they started with right after the war. If you know any history of air racing, that before the war they had the races at Cleveland, you see all the history of the GB and that kind of stuff. Right after the war they wanted to get something a little bit cheaper, so they invented Formula One. The engines were all the same, and the rules were very strict in terms of the wing area and the vision requirements and that sort of thing. And that has continued on since that time.
So tell me briefly how a Formula One air race works. What are the rules?
Basically, the rules, it's a formula, so everybody has to match the formula with their airplanes. We require a fair amount of pilot capability, so we check the pilots out. We make them do a straight takeoff, because when you take off in formation, kind of like the snowbirds, where all the airplanes are on the runway at the same time, flag drops, and off they all go. It's really quite exciting, but it does mean they've got to stay in position so they don't run into the guy next to them. Okay. So once you've taken off, so the race has started now. As you take off, they take off onto course, and they run about 6 to 8 laps around a 3-mile oval course. It's marked out by pylons. We call them pylons, and they pretty much like phone poles, about the height of a phone pole, with a 55-gallon oil drum on the top. And fly around those. If you cut inside it, you get a penalty. We have people watching. The pilots would obviously tend to cut the corners if they could, and that's basically how it works. First guy across the line's the winner.
Very exciting stuff, obviously.
Very exciting. You spend your whole life as an aviator trying to keep away from other airplanes, and here you're in the sky aiming for the same point with 7 others at the same time.
Yeah. Tell me why Delta, why the Boundary Bay Airport?
Boundary Bay, it's a good site. It's nice and flat. There's not a lot of obstacles in the way, and we really wanted to come to Canada for many years. So when we had the opportunity, we were up here in a flash.
Do you think this is just the start of bigger and better things to come within Canada?
I think so. If we're involved in the air show business, so we're just part of the air show business, and when you go to the air show conventions, there's so many Canadian shows. The Canadian and the U.S. air show business is completely intermingled. The air show acts come up here, and Canadians go down there, and we would like to do the same with air racing. So we've really been looking forward to coming into Canada. We call ourselves International Formula One, but we don't. And the reason for that is they do this in Europe. They use the same rules in England and France, and they race over there. And so we wanted to come up into Canada so we can live up to our side of the name.
These engines run, they're stock engines, they're Continentals.
Continental O200s.
Now, as a stock engine, how many RPM is that running?
Oh, it's red line at 2750 on a Cessna 150 or some such airplane.
And the Cessna what is the Cessna 150?
Well, it's just a commercial built airplane that a lot of people use for training.
Okay.
2 placed side by side.
And how many RPMs are you getting your machines?
Oh, we're upwards of 4,000 or better.
So what difference is that entail?
Well, we've balanced and blueprinted them pretty good, and then you put a racing prop on, which allows it to turn up.
Okay, what, a racing pop? What?
Well, it happens to be 54 inches long and a pitch of about either 68 or 70, depending on the density altitude.
Okay. So you actually go from race to race, and you have a number of different props.
Oh, yes.
One of the things about Formula One is that your props are always a fixed size. Does that create problems for you in racing?
No, it's
or I should say fixed
pitch. Yeah, it's a fixed pitch, and by the way, we cannot use a metal prop because of the safety factor. A metal prop today has not been built to stand those RPMs, so we're with other than metal. by the rules of Formula One, you can't use metal.
So what can you use?
Well, you can use wood or graphite or Kevlar or whatever.
Why is metal such a problem?
Well, they tend to break because of the vibration and the RPM and pulling G's and stuff like that. They break.
So is there any gearing down to the prop, or is the prop turning it to that?
No, it's just fixed. So it's whatever speed the engine is, that's what speed the
So
prop.
that thing's spinning at 4,000.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of racket.
And it gives you, actually, with the number of racers that you have, how are the speeds different?
There isn't that much difference. Last year at Reno, I think I had 4 mile an hour different from the number 6 and number 2. Number 2 happened to be in the gold by that 2 or 3 or 4 miles an hour.
And now, here are your race and color commentators, John Nicholson and Bernie Dunleavy, to call the second gold race for championship points.
And here go the airplanes. The starting Jeff Gunn brings the green flag down, and we are on taxi for takeoff in the final gold heat. First off the ground and then back down again. And back up is number 57, Ray Sherwood. The Kenzie brothers are up front. And it is David Hoover way on the outside. Nemesis, number 3, in 5th place right now, is high and wide as it always is. As we go around for the first time, pylons 1, 2, and 3 on the far end of the field. Back to the first straightaway, and we have a battle up front. 1, 2, 3, 4 planes, all in close proximity. And look for number 3, John Sharp, coming high and wide. We see 6 planes. Somebody scratched, apparently. We only have 6 planes now on the race as they come around to complete the first lap.
Number 19.
And that is Scott Kenzie in the lead, but closely pursued by Ray Sherwood and David Hoover. Way up high is John Sharp. Scott Kenzie trying to hold on to that lead, but here comes Nemesis. As we pass the control tower, John Sharp takes it high and moves into first place. Did not waste a whole lot of time on this one. John Sharp would like to get a speed record here. Because the clock starts when the first airplane passes the home pylon, he's going to have to make up some time. The clock was already running when he passed it. Here comes John, smooth and quick. And now, if it holds up, it's going to be a battle for second place. David Hoover trying to go by on the outside. Ray Sherwood is also up there, along with the Kenzie brothers. Look at the gorgeous flight of Nemesis as it passes the control tower once again and leaves the pack behind. It looks as if we will be looking at a race for 2nd and 3rd, and right now also a record for 4th and 5th. Rand, find out who's out, please. John Sharp finishing up lap 2, smooth and strong. The engine sounds good. Now let's see who will come past us 2nd and 3rd. And moving on ahead, David Hoover now has fallen back into 3rd place. Ray Sherwood is back there, along with Scott Kenzie. Dan Gilbert running 2nd. David Hoover losing some space to him now as they come around the far end, and John Sharp, meanwhile, passing the home pylon for the 3rd time. It's going to be John against the clock. How fast can he make Nemesis go? How hard does he want to push the airplane? Shadow in 2nd place, and then David Hoover in frenzy is 3rd. Then we have Scott Kenzie, Ray Sherwood, and Steve Kenzie bringing up the rear, and Bobby Buddy scratched, not able to run, unfortunately, in the El Bandito. Halfway through, here comes Sharp once again. Smooth and strong. Dan Gilbert opening space as we go around the pylons at the far end of the field. In shadow. And then David Hoover's Frenzy. David, by the way, is building a new airplane to race, and he says when he gets it done, probably sometime in the next year, you will see him up there racing, he certainly expects, with John Sharp. Now it's a battle for fourth place between Scott Kenzie and Ray Sherwood, who's moving by him as we go by the home pylon, and then Steve Kenzie bringing up the rear. John Sharp is looking for some lap traffic. He makes it look so easy, and that has so much to do with his crew and with the technical aspects of that plane, as well as John's excellent ability as a pilot. Here is Dan Gilbert, the retired Northwest Airlines pilot, cruising along in shadow, and then David Hoover as we open up a space. And now we're going to see if we can get a fight for fourth place between Scott Kenzie, who is now in fourth, Ray Sherwood in fifth. And here comes John Sharp around the backside looking to lap them. He is just screaming along. Sharp has got a bead drawn now on Steve Kenzie in the silver BB. Again, on the knife edge goes John Sharp around to the right. Flying high, doesn't even have to worry about the traffic. Almost a half lap behind in second place is Dan Gilbert in shadow. And the length of the field behind him in third is David Hoover. Remember, these pilots are trying to pile up points to get into the gold, so even though they're obviously not going to catch John Sharp unless there is a problem, they need to hold their places, and they need to get some speed to pile up those points for the positioning for this afternoon's finals. Sharp now has lapped the Kenzie brothers and Ray Sherwood. There's a battle for fourth place going on between Scott Kenzie, who is holding off Ray Sherwood and Ray, and then bringing up the rear and trying to close some ground is Steve Kenzie. Dan Gilbert now looking to see if he can possibly lap these guys. It doesn't appear he'll be able to catch them. Look at Nemesis, high and wide, flying the knife edge around pylons 4, 5, and 6, and into the home pylon. And up he goes. There is your champion of this heat, the undefeated, once again, John Sharp in Nemesis. This is your battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th going by the home pylon, the Kenzie brothers and Ray Sherwood. Finishing up in second place now at the home pylon, Dan Gilbert in shadow as he climbs for air. And now coming around one last time to take third place, it's going to be David Hoover in Frenzy. A nice finish for David. Sharp, Gilbert, David Hoover in the gold heat.
John, good race. How's the plane running?
The plane's running great today. We wanted to take it just a tad easy today in the morning heat because the big race is this afternoon. So we wanted to make sure that we got through the race easy and safe and didn't hurt any parts or anything, and it looked like we were successful with that.
How was the wind condition up?
It's gorgeous. It's just gorgeous, smooth day. I wanted to go fly out over the bay. It was so pretty. It was a gorgeous day. Very smooth, no turbulence.
Now, just prior to the interview, we were listening to you talk to the young lady about the different records that you have to tabulate.
Right.
Tell us, is that your job to keep track of all those?
Yeah, what I do is I keep the data in the cockpit. I call out numbers to them as far as RPM, airspeed, oil temperature, oil pressure, anything that I'm feeling, sensing, hearing, that sort of thing, the mixture sensitivity in the engine, the general smoothness. And they write those down in the book, and then we go back over them after the flight, and I regurgitate those numbers again back to them for the maximum performance, oil pressure, oil temperature, all that. So it's a double cross-check, and we keep a sheet on every flight. So every time we fly in this airplane, we've got data. And when we need to have an answer to a question or performance issue, we go back as many as 3 to 5 years ago to the data and said, oh yeah, we did this, we changed this.
It's nice to be able to tabulate from the past.
Absolutely. It's one of the things that has made this plane successful is the history that we've built. And so if we go to change propellers or we look at the weather conditions, we say, okay, we can expect this, expect that kind of performance. You know, we do all the barometers and pressures and all that tell us at the end of the day if we've got a performance problem or not, because we can plug all of our information back in, correct it for the barometer and the temperature, and go, okay, everything's right, or we're a little off, we need to tweak a little here, tweak a little there.
Now we're back in the pits right now. The crew behind you, as they've taken the cowling off the top part of the engine, what's their job?
Well, actually right now we're getting the engine, trying to get the engine and the oil system cooled down, because we race in just a couple of hours, and so we want to start back down with square one on all the temperatures, so we don't go out with a hot engine, because the next race is the one that counts. That's for all the marbles, so we take all the care we can to be ready for that.
Let's talk about spare parts. What's the type of capacity for spare parts that you carry around in case you have a problem with it?
Actually, we have a large complement of spares, primarily engine parts. We have some of the major crucial airframe stuff also with us, but it's all primarily engine parts, and we have, you know, we don't have one completely full assembled engine as a spare, but we've got all the parts to build another one if we had to.
Okay, we'll let you relax right now before your next race. Thanks, John.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, and it's great to be here. This wonderful area. I love it. And I want to come back here every year.
You're more than welcome. Thanks, John.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
The inaugural Vancouver International Formula One Air Races and Air Show are being brought to you in part by DCTV4 and the Vancouver Port Corporation, the port of Vancouver's gateway to the Pacific. For information about the Port of Vancouver or Delta Port, call 666-3226. Different looking aerodynamic plane than some of the other ones we've seen. Tell us a little about the design of the plane and how you got the design initially off the ground.
Pushy Glory is a little unique in racing. There's two pushers in Formula One, and they're both this type. This is a Miller Special, and Jim Miller, the man that designed it, will be here flying Pushy Cat. So you learn a little bit about where we came up with the name. We were trying to one-up Jim, but the design is about a 30-year-old airplane. Jim was building a proof of concept for a passenger plane when he came up and built the single seat, and it slowly evolved into a racer, and it was real unique at the time, way ahead of its time, and I think that's why it never sold as a kit, but it's turned out to be a formidable racer. The pusher prop hurts us in one respect, and that's pure top speed. Beyond that, it's pretty handy at other things. It's quick off the line, being as we're drag racing from the start. It's pretty handy to have.
Now, the one thing I noticed, yours versus Nemesis, is that your engine is definitely in the background. You get more aerodynamic speed with the prop in the back?
Well, this argument's been going on for years, and I'm sure I can't settle it now, but there's one guy here that agrees with me that the pusher isn't the way to go, and that's John. Everybody else thinks it is because I'm outrunning them. So we came in second behind John at Reno last year. And if we can ever beat him, and this is a good place for us to be trying that, I think the lower altitude, the fatter air here will help this airplane. Actually, it won't hurt this one as much as it hurts John's over Reno conditions. So once I beat him, then we can all say the pusher's better.
Why did you get involved? You got an aviation background?
I grew up around airplanes. We moved next door to a crop dusting strip when I was 12 years old, and I immediately went to work on the ground crew there, hustling rice sacks and throwing fertilizer bags. And by the time I was 19, I was flying there, and I've always been involved in the fringe type aviation. I fly helicopters and aerobatic flying, stunt flying, flown air shows, things like that. I was flying competition aerobatics, and when one judge gives you a 10 on a maneuver and another one gives you a 5, it's really frustrating. And about that time, I got invited by some friends to come out to Reno to watch the races, And I noticed right away that the guy that comes across the finish line first wins, and everybody knows who did it. So that appealed to me a lot. Being competitive by nature, that just one thing led to another, and I got rid of the aerobatic airplanes and into the racers.
Yes, a group of veteran race pilots just prior to World War II got together and decided that there was a need for a small, easily achievable race class where individual people could build their own airplanes and fly on an ordinary man's budget. That didn't progress until after World War II, and the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company put up a purse of $25,000 a year at the National Air Races at Cleveland starting in 1947. They were known as Goodyear Trophy Races, which was the first year that these Formula One planes actually raced. They raced at Cleveland 2 years, and then, as you may or may not know, there was a terrible accident in which some civilians were killed in air racing at Cleveland, and air racing was terminated momentarily there, and they moved to Detroit, and then they went on. But this class of racing has been racing continuously for this being the 50th year, for all those years between 1947. It's the oldest and most continuous and operating race class in history of air racing. Over the years, there have been some 253 airplanes have raced in the class. There have been 42 known fatalities of pilots in the class. Over the years, we lost 2 last year. One of our more successful female pilots was killed testing an airplane in September with a new wing. It's a very competitive class, but in recent years, as you can tell from the airplanes here, in recent years it has evolved into something more than just a backyard airplane that some home builder built. They're very complex machines. Many of them are of composite construction, as these two and some of the more successful ones, the 2 pushers and the current national champion. Most of them are computer designed. They're made of high-tech materials and are extremely fast. Probably no airplanes that are not supercharged or not jet airplanes get more speed per horsepower than these do, because these are still flying with 100 horsepower engines.
And here comes the ugly duckling, Tony Walcott, in the Britten-Norman Islander. The Islander is used by operators all over the world, in and out of the very rugged, short strips. The Islander is noted for its short takeoff and landing qualities. The Spitfire that you see today is an exact reproduction, considerably smaller than the original. But every system in that aircraft is an exact replica. Steve down and low over the runway to your left, followed by Joe Dames in the Mustang, chasing him hard. Steve wagging his wings. Joe in the Mustang giving him a hard run for his money. Years ago, when the Royal Canadian Air Force had their Golden Hawks aerobatic team, the guys at Moose Jaw decided that the kids with the kerosene converters weren't going to outdo them, so they formed their own aerobatic team using Harvards, and they called themselves the Goldilocks. And they put on quite an exhibition of formation flying in Harvards until Air Force headquarters found out about it, and then they got shut down. But the Harvard is an impressive airplane, maybe not as fast and as agile as some. But John does a beautiful job of low-level aerobatics. Pulling up into the second half of what I believe is to be a Cuban 8. pushes forward now, going from positive G. No, Pete lied. Just a plain ordinary vanilla loop. He hangs by that big engine and prop combination. He goes over the top. Pulling up and rolling so slowly in a big, beautiful, slow roll to the inverted. The engine quits as he pushes around. Down he comes the backside. And once again, pulling up. The Swiftbird started out approximately 18 years ago with 9 pilots and planes, and over the years attrition has taken its toll. People have moved away, sold their airplanes. We're down to the 4 you see today. The leader, John Northey, the mayor of Port Moody, is flying a 200 horsepower modified Swift. At a number 4 position, Ted O'Drain, flying Mike Papa Charlie, is an airplane that he rebuilt himself from pieces. As they switch now, formation as they go by, into line of stern. Approximately 4 to 5 feet apart. Ted bringing up number 4 position.
And now, here are race and color commentators John Nicholson and Bernie Dunleavy to call the 3rd and final silver race for championship points.
Dave Morse on the pole, moving quickly, and he's now off the ground. Off the ground quickly also in the back row. As they head for the scatter pylon, they will then turn to the left, come around in front of us here, and head for the home pylon to start the clock. Right to the knife edge as they go around the far scatter pylon and turned onto the course. Crazy Dave Moore starts the clock. Followed closely by Ray Sherwood. Jim Miller flying high into the outside. In the Miller Special. Dave Morse has the lead, followed by Ray Sherwood. Jim Miller is moving on him as they go around the pylons on the west side of the course. And then Steve Kenzie. Halfway around lap 1, Dave Morse holding on to the lead with Sahara. Once again, banks to the knife edge. Around pylons 4, 5, and 6, the tight end of the course. Here comes Dave with a good solid lead, but Jim Miller is high and wide and moving up fast into 2nd place, leaving Ray Sherwood behind. Ray now in 3rd place, followed by Steve Kenzie in 4th. Steve Myers is high and wide in 7th place now. And way in the back, the last of the Buddy Air Force. Dave Morse holding on to a solid lead as he heads once again for pylons 4, 5, and 6. Jim Miller flying a little bit higher, trying to catch up with him. Down low, Ray Sherwood in 3rd place. Here comes Dave Morse. Straightening it out as he goes by the home pylon to finish the 2nd lap. Still with a good lead on Miller, who appears to be picking up some speed now. Jim is flying fairly high. He has said his airplane is not strong. but he seems to be doing all right. The Kenzie brothers now in a battle for 4th and 5th. Once again, as they go around the pylons, he appears to be gaining some air. Could be an optical illusion from our vantage point. Now, Dave Morse finishes lap 3. Jim Miller flying even higher as he comes by. Ray Sherwood hanging on to 3rd. A battle for 4th between the Kenzie brothers, Scott and Steve. Steve with the lead so far. And up high and starting to gain a little bit of space, Steve Myers and Smitty's Firefly. And then the Buddy brothers bringing up the rear. Bobby Buddy in 7th. George Buddy way back. Coming around to the halfway point. Dave Morse is really moving this airplane. Still holding that strong lead over Jim Miller. And a 3-plane battle for 3rd place, way behind. For 4th place, I should say. Miller still taking it high. Here's Ray Sherwood now opening up some space against the planes behind him. He's a solid 3rd. 3-way battle. The Kenzie brothers and Steve Myers. Myers high and outside. Steve and Scott's Kenzie down low. And Dave Morse has really got his Sahara going. He's got about a quarter lap almost now on Jim Miller, who in turn has about a quarter lap on Ray Sherwood. And then that 3-plane battle for 4th place, which now Steve Myers has moved into the lead as he still flies high and wide, and the Kenzie brothers in 5th and 6th, practically on top of each other. Ray Sherwood hangs on to 3rd. Now Steve Myers opening up some space in 4th. Here comes Steve Kenzie trying to move on Scott Kenzie between 5th and 6th, but Scott stays low and holds on to his lead as they go around the pylons. The Buddy brothers, Bobby and George. And now here comes Dave Morse on the tail of George, looking for a possible lap. If Crazy Dave can keep it going, he is going to have a chance to move up into the gold. Does Jim Miller have enough in that pusher engine to catch up with him? It doesn't look like it to this point. Jim in 2nd. 3rd place now a battle. Sherwood down low and Steve Myers up high. Sherwood still has the lead, but Steve is gaining. And the Kenzie brothers practically wingtip to wingtip as they pass the home pylon. Steve still with the lead in the Silver BB, followed by Scott. Now Dave Morse is starting to close on George Buddy. Will he be able to lap him? Will he be able to keep that airplane running strong? Jim Miller still in 2nd place, running high. Again, Jim has had some engine troubles and said the airplane will not go as well as it ordinarily does. Now, up high, Steve Myers in 3rd, Ray Sherwood down low. Steve is flying extraordinarily high in that Kelly Special. The Kenzie brothers once again, and here comes Scott moving on Steve. Very close as they go past the home pylon. Coming around for home. The Buddy brothers avoid getting lapped. Dave Morse takes the checkered flag. And Dave Morse, climbing for air, has won it wire to wire. Jim Miller in second place in the Pussycat. Up high, Steve Myers will take third over Ray Sherwood, finishing fourth. So Dave Morse will have the opportunity to move up and compete in the gold. And here come the Kenzie brothers, and as they started, Steve manages to hold off Scott, avenging a defeat by Scott on the Saturday afternoon heat.
Roy, what brings you out here to the races today in Boundary Bay?
See the airplanes, see the racing.
Have you been familiar with the planes before?
Not these planes, no.
And tell us a little bit about why you come out. The history of the aviation must really amaze you?
Well, I guess so. I used to fly planes in the war, so a couple of years ago.
Just a couple. So anything majorly different that you see going on today from what you're used to?
Well, I've never seen low-level racing like this, so that's what I wanted to see.
Would you come back?
Oh, yeah, pretty good, very good.
Tell us, first off, why you come out to watch them.
Oh, well, we went somewhere earlier and there were no planes there, so we came out here. And now there's some planes out here.
Did you watch the model airplanes fly earlier?
No, we just got here a little bit ago.
Oh, okay, and what's Riley doing?
Well, he's going over here over there, which he's not supposed to. So.
Oh, they'll keep him in line. No doubt they will. Boys, thoroughly enjoying this event?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they like to come out and watch the planes.
Are you an aircraft enthusiast?
I work out at the airport.
Oh, so it's in the blood then?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Okay, now this is the first annual event in Boundary Bay. Do you think it's got all expectations of growing bigger and better from here?
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. I hope they come back next year and after that again.
Off in front of you on runway 07 is Guido Lepore flying the powerful Pit Special. Right off takeoff, half loop and a roll. Followed by another maneuver straight up and rolling into the sun. Rolling down the 45, picking up speed and pulling up. One roll, two. Is he going to make three? He's made it. 3 full vertical rolls before running out of steam. Don't try that with your Cessna 150. And a nice 8-point hesitation roll going down the field. Nice and crisp on the roll.
Formula One air race rules were designed to provide a fast and economical racing class, and they have succeeded. The rules are simple. The wing area needs to be a minimum of 66 square feet. The cockpit height must be a minimum of 30 inches. The center of gravity must be between 8 and 25% mean aerodynamic chord. The empty weight must be a minimum of 500 pounds. The aircraft must have a fixed main landing gear with 5.00 by 5 wheels. There must be a fixed pitch propeller, and no metal props have been allowed after 1987. The fuel tank must have a minimum 5-gallon capacity. The plane must be powered by a restricted Continental O200 engine. This is the same 100 horsepower engine used in the Cessna 150 trainer. The structure must be capable of withstanding at least 6 Gs, and the visibility must be 25 degrees over the wing, 5 degrees over the nose, and 45 degrees upward. If the aircraft satisfies these design constraints, it's ready to fly in a Formula One air race. The inaugural Vancouver International Formula One Air Races and Air Show are being brought to you in part by DCTV4 and the Vancouver Port Corporation, the port of Vancouver's gateway to the Pacific. For information about the Port of Vancouver or Delta Port, call 666-3226.
You're watching DCTV, your eye on Delta.
Get you to back up just a second. We were talking earlier on about the speed. You've got the 277.56 miles an hour crossed out. You've got 283.75. When did you do it? What did you have to do to obtain that?
Well, we did that at Oshkosh, Wisconsin at the EAA fly-in just about 2 weeks ago. We were out there. What this is the 3-kilometer speed dash is what it's called. So it's a measured 3-kilometer course, and it's an average of 4 passes up and down that course. So it's a true indicator of actually how fast the airplane will go and can go under the conditions of that particular day. So we broke the 277-mile-an-hour record that we did 3 years ago in 1993. We did it just about 2 weeks ago. It was a wonderful day for Team Nemesis.
Are you privately funded? Do you get a lot of sponsorship? Because let's face it, without the sponsorship, it's tough to get one of these to go.
Absolutely. One of the things that people ask us, they see all the decals on the airplane and they say, you're so interested in aerodynamics. Geez, if you took all those decals off, wouldn't it go faster? And the answer to that is, if you take the decals off, the plane doesn't go at all.
That's very truthful.
Absolutely true. Redline Oil, Aircraft Spruce and Specialty, Lens Aircraft Engines, Aeromag, all of them are primarily United States companies, are key members on our team, and without those people, this program wouldn't exist. So we're very thankful to all those people for helping us. It's great.
Is it tougher nowadays with the way society is going to get more sponsorship on board?
Well, actually, in some ways it's easier because with some of the restrictions that are being placed on advertising and stuff, the companies are finding different media to use for their outlets. The car racers are plowing the row for us, and we're coming along behind them and finding out how it is tough, to answer your question. It is tough, and it's a lot of work. In fact, we have 2 full-time PR people that work on our team. Our team is 20 people large, so it's a large group of people. And those 2 PR people work full-time to try to raise sponsorship for us.
Well, I know people here are going to really be entertained watching your plane. You really get sharp coveralls. They're really catchy.
Oh.
And as we were talking earlier on, something that, the public can allude to.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that we want to do is try to make things bright and colorful, So it's airplane racing is what we're going to do out here at Vancouver at Boundary Bay Airport this weekend is a really exciting thing for us. It's the first time we've ever been international as a group, although our group is called International Formula One. This is our first race in international waters or territory, and we're really, really looking forward to this. And just so you have a little feeling for what this is, these airplanes go 250 to 283 miles per hour, 35 feet off the ground on a closed 3-mile oval course. That's about the size of the Indianapolis 500 track. So we do just about what they do at Indy, only 35 feet in the air and a whole lot faster.
It's going to be an awful lot of fun. And everybody at home watching, they thought I was just here interviewing. People didn't know that I was actually involved with this aircraft. And if you look real careful, you can see I'm actually on the plane. The only thing is I got to talk to the painter because he spelt my name wrong about that. We're going to have an interesting time this weekend, John, and we'll wish you all the success because it's going to be an awful lot of fun coming out and watching you. We're standing in a beautiful building, what a lot of people call to be a real artifact in Delta here, a hangar from World War II. Yes. We must have an awful lot of history in our own province of British Columbia, pilots, flyers.
No question. You may not be aware of it, but you have two pilots and plane owners who have been active in the Formula One air racing in the United States. A gentleman from Campbell River named Jeff Denny owns 2 Formula One aircraft. And a guy, Eric Matheson, a Vancouverite, who flies for Cathay Pacific Airlines out of Hong Kong, but owns an active racer and raced last year at Reno, and hopefully will be there again this year.
Now, our racers that are involved, are they as involved as the American counterparts?
Exactly. They're co-equals with all the Americans. They both have excellent airplanes. And Matheson maintains his airplane beautifully. He flew last year at Reno and has the last couple of years. He couldn't get away, I'm told, by his scheduling, airline scheduling, to be here for this race.
Now, we talk about the involvement for the pilots. Is there any special skills behind-the-scenes training that, never mind, are just pilots from British Columbia, pilots in general have to undergo?
Well, there are strict requirements that they must pass, requirements that they must have, too. In America, they must have a Class 2 medical certificate and certain hour requirements as pilots, flying hours. And they're tested periodically with their ability to perform certain maneuvers, that is, pull 6Gs and those kinds of things by the pilot committee of the Air Racing Association.
Now, with your background in flying, is it a concern to you that the pilots that are operating these aircraft do not have radio contact?
Well, that's an interesting thing. I personally, in today's world, don't see any reason that they shouldn't have radios in their aircraft. And I believe, if I'm correct, that they've altered the rules of Reno this year does require them. I think it's a safety feature that's a sound one.
And of course, safety from the FAA's point is safety is of the first and utmost.
Yes, precisely. I think probably the drawback in many pilots' minds in past years was the weight of the added equipment, because weight is terribly important in these little machines. But with the modern day radio equipment that we have, weight is virtually nothing. So I see no real reason that they shouldn't have them. And I'm glad to see, frankly, I'm glad to see them get them from the safety standpoint.
The one thing we've noticed, Colonel, is the fact that this sport is open for young and older people alike.
Precisely. And as you may have noticed here, if you were aware of the ages of some of the pilots, there is one pilot flying one of the leading aircraft here that is 73, and another one who's 71. But they're both grandfathers, and we have a lot of young people flying who are in their 20s and 30s. It's an interesting thing, really. There are several retired airline pilots flying. There are, in this group here, I believe there are 4. 3 come to mind right off, but the 2 Buddy brothers and Dan up with his airplane. But yeah, it's a strange thing. They maintain a proficiency and they do well.
What does it take to be a pylon judge?
I think more as a volunteer, just to make sure you've got a keen eye and watch and making sure that the planes don't cut within the pylon.
So for that job, do you have to be right under the pylon?
Yes, you're basically looking straight up into the sky and making sure that nothing crosses that line.
I'll bet you that's the best seat in the house.
Oh, it is. It's fantastic. It's really exciting, especially when you can hear them roaring right by you.
Did you have to go through a training process for that?
We did yesterday morning and the night before, actually, just to sort of orient us as to what to watch for and what to do.
And I bet you passed with flying colors.
All of us did.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now, here are race and color commentators John Nicholson and Bernie Dunleavy to call the 3rd and final gold race for championship points.
Green flag is up alone. Engines are running up. The green flag is down, and here's the start of the inaugural Gold Championship race. Bruce Bohannon is taxiing up in a great hurry from the second row. He is right coming up on the tail of John Sharp, still on the ground. Sharp is up, though. Now Bohannon is up and trying to get up and by if he can. Everybody now off the ground. As they head for that scatter pylon, they will turn hard left, come around, pass in front of us, and start the clock when they pass that home pylon. Look at the yellow plane, Bohannon coming high and trying to make up some space. He's in 3rd place right now. A good start to this Gold Championship race. And John Sharp is going to start the clock himself. Ray Cody 2nd, Bruce Bohannon 3rd, Kevin Kelly 4th. And the rest of the field stringing out along the way with Ray Sherwood bringing up the rear. The clock start is on Nemesis. That is very unusual for John to be out so fast. That means he's got a shot here at setting some kind of a speed record. John Sharp is going to see if he can just run away from the pack. Banking now onto the knife edge around the tight pylons 4, 5, and 6, and back in front of us. He will straighten it out and roar past the home pylon. There's one lap down for Sharp. Ray Cody in the alley cat, number 4 is second. Bruce Bohannon moving up. Kevin Kelly closing on Bruce in fourth. Followed by the shadow, Dan Gilbert, and then David Hoover in number 11, Frenzy. Scott Kenzie and Ray Sherwood, 7 and 8. Ray Sherwood flying high. Look at Sharp wail around this course. Kevin Kelly up high behind Bohannon, a battle for third, fourth, and then fifth. That should be shadow Dan Gilbert in fifth. Here comes John Sharp around to do the second lap. Oh, has he got that airplane moving? Ray Cody in second, Bohannon in third. Kevin Kelly is closing on Bohannon. And Shadow is closing on Kevin Kelly. Then David Hoover in frenzy is sixth. Sharp once again opening up space between himself and the second place airplane. What a battle for third. Look across the field toward the control tower. You see Bohannon down low in the yellow pusher. Then Kevin Kelly and Dan Gilbert in shadow. And Gilbert looks like he's trying to go by Kelly. Very, very close. And Gilbert also moving up on Bohannon. Sharp, meanwhile, completes lap number 3 and runs away. Ray Cody now. Bohannon. Kevin Kelly. Dan Gilbert. In that order, third, fourth, and fifth. David Hoover strings it out in frenzy for sixth. And then it's going to be Scott Kenzie and Ray Sherwood. Nemesis already, as he comes around toward the halfway point, is starting to look at the back end of Ray Sherwood's naughty boy. John Sharp told us one problem he might have in trying to set a speed record would be having to come around that lap traffic. That last lap unofficially in 43 seconds for Sharp. Cody still second. Bohannon, Kelly, and Dan Gilbert. We saw Dan Gilbert yesterday sitting on a couple of other racers for 7 laps and then blowing by them at the finish. This may be his strategy here, but now Bruce Bohannon appears to be falling back into 5th place. As we watch Scott Kenzie and Ray Sherwood come by, here comes Nemesis high and wide, completing the 5th lap. John Sharp in a race against the clock. Ray Cody with a good solid lead over everybody else for second. Shadow now third with Dan Gilbert. Kevin Kelly fourth and Bruce Bohannon falling back to 5th. Dan Gilbert did not wait to make his move today. Dan Gilbert now is going after Ray Cody for 2nd place. As we get Nemesis lapping. He has gone by David Hoover and Ray Sherwood.
44 seconds, just a bit slower.
That last lap unofficially in 44 seconds, just a bit slower, but still moving right along. John Sharp with a couple of laps to go. Ray Cody still in second, but Dan Gilbert is closing on him. Then Kevin Kelly, and Bohannon now flying high, has fallen back into what looks like a pretty solid 5th place. Check that, David Hoover still in 6th. Nemesis coming high with John Sharp to wrap up yet one more lap. Not much more to go for Sharp. It looks like it's going to be another sweep for Team Nemesis. The battle now. Here is second place Ray Cody trying to lap Scott Kenzie, number 19. Third place and fourth, Dan Gilbert and Kevin Kelly. And Bruce Bohannon now is going to have to be content to stay in fifth with Pushy Galore. Here is John Sharp, your winner in the Gold Championship, flying high for air. What a beautiful run by Nemesis to take the inaugural Vancouver International Air Races Gold Championship. He was the favorite, and what a race he flew. Now for second place. It is Shadow. It is Ray Cody. It is Kevin Kelly. So Dan Gilbert, barring a pylon cut or some other kind of penalty, Dan Gilbert is second. Then Ray Cody, then Kevin Kelly, and then Bruce Bohannon in fifth. Here is David Hoover in frenzy coming in sixth. And the last two airplanes, Scott Kenzie and Ray Sherwood, to make the last lap around before they go up. And now Ray is making a move on Scott Kenzie. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a race back here for seventh place. Ray Sherwood in Naughty Boy is blowing by the Okie Streaker. Here they come for home. Ray Sherwood down low. Scott Kenzie, the rookie, up high, and Sherwood comes from behind after being a last-minute starter in this gold to finish seventh, and Scott Kenzie wraps it up. So there you have it, your winner, John Sharp, Dan Gilbert, Ray Cody.
Gentlemen, I'm going to call up on the stage is the winner of the silver, which is Mr. Dave Moore. Dave Moore. Now I'm going to award the trophies for the gold division. And the first gentleman I'm going to call up is Ray Cody in Alleycat. Ray. Just stand by. The second place for the gold is Dan Gilbert in Shadow. All right. John, excuse me. John, come on. First place for the gold.
Vancouver, Delta, Boundary Bay, Jerry, Jan, Terry, Debbie, everybody in the office that put this event together. This is an extraordinary international event,
Everybody, it was wonderful to see all of you guys. It was a great day for Team Nemesis, Redline Oil, Aircraft Spruce and Specialty, Agfa Film, and Telerad. Thanks a lot for coming out, everybody, and enjoy the rest of the day, and we'll be back next year to do it again. Thank you.
Ray, nice race.
Well, it was fun being out there, that's for sure.
A little bit different?
Yeah, especially with all the fast airplanes. And we didn't have any ducks or geese today to worry about.
What about,
somehow they left.
What about air turbulence?
It was rough. It was very rough. Probably spiking 6 Gs on turbulence in the straightaways.
Dan, very successful race.
It was a good race. It was a very good race. I got off very slow. Bohannon and Cody and Sharp got ahead of me and a couple others, but I picked him back off before I couldn't get Sharp. He was too far ahead.
Oh, he really goes. He's, I don't know if there's any special modification that he does that doesn't tell anyone or not.
We've been wondering about that.
Anyway, tell us, going into the corners, G-force. What type of G-force you're looking at now?
I showed almost 6 Gs on my G meter when the race is over. And that is pulling pretty hard, especially through pylon number 6. You pull real hard there.
Wind turbulence, wind direction,
a
no real
little
difference?
bit, not real bad.
And altitude, you don't really gain a lot of altitude. It seems that some of the pilots, as they go into the corners, they seem to go lower and dip to the corners.
To keep the speed up, sometimes we do decrease altitude through the turns. Probably 50 feet's a good average altitude for the course.
No real difference from an Indy car. You go into the corners, you go in low, and you come out wide and cut wide.
Same philosophy. And,
same philosophy.
It's energy management, and with these small engines, if you turn them too tight, if you pull them too tight, it's going to slow you down. So you have to just flow your energy around through your turns and hope your competitor doesn't have a stronger engine.
Well, congratulations on the day and the weekend. Hope to see you back here next year.
I hope to be back here.
Thanks very much. Thanks a lot. Okay. Dave, are you pleased with the way the day went?
Oh, outstanding, yeah. Yeah, this is a brand new airplane to me. We've only owned it for about 12 days. We're still in a big debugging mode, you know, trying to find out. It had been sitting for 4 years, so there was a lot of things that needed to be done. And so this was a learning experience for us, and we came out first in silver, which is just great for us.
Any type of special modifications you're going to have to undertake from here?
Well, we've got 2 weeks till we have to be at Reno for the international air races there, and there's a lot of stuff that we learned today that we'll be doing before Reno. So look for us up in the gold at Reno.
Should we ask you what type of things you might have to undertake?
We've got a fuel vent. Well,
away?
Today we cracked the fuel tank open, so that's one thing we got to fix. But we have some fuel vent problems. We want to change the way that the canopy profiles, and one little thing on the tail, we're going to add a little bit of vertical surface.
We hope to
it'll
see
be
you
a
back.
busy 2 weeks.
No doubt it will. Well,
Yeah.
we hope to see you back here next year.
Oh, we'll be here.
John, very, very impressive weekend for you.
Oh, thanks, Steve. It was a great day for Nemesis. All the people that work on our team, work on our airplane, really did a great job. Jack Wells, Dan Bond, my wife Tricia, Steve Erickson, Steve Hill, the whole group, Dave Lednicer, everybody did a wonderful job. It was a great day for us in Vancouver.
You didn't really reach the speeds that you were attaining to going 283, now you went 247 today. Any reason why?
Well, we were shooting for a new international world speed record in racing. We did get that part, but we were hoping to do something very impressive. Don't know, the conditions just weren't really right for going really, really fast today. I was encouraged out on the first lap. When I turned the first corner in the lead, I knew that we had something very special going today, and we almost got what we were after, which is a 255 or 6 mile an hour lap.
A little bit surprising for you to take an early lead and hold on to it right from the start.
Yeah, well, the Redline Oil team, Aircraft Spruce and Specialty, Agfa Film, we've been working really, really hard on the plane over the last few months to try to pick up the acceleration. That's the one area that we've been lacking a little bit in, and we've worked really hard to try to get there, and maybe we have, I don't know.
Any wind speed, wind drag held the plane back?
No, actually the wind was a little bit tough down on pylon 6, actually. It kept blowing us off the course, so I really have to rack in really tight to try to catch the pylon as close as I could. But other than that, it was really, really nice. I did fly through a flock of geese down on Canadian geese, yeah. Absolutely. I think I saw Molsons in their hand and snap-on wrenches, but they were out there, so I flew through some of those a couple times. Actually, being the first guy out, you know, you're always afraid of kicking up the birds, but it was great.
Hey, get your lovely wife in. We want to talk to her too.
Oh, good deal.
Okay, they always tell everybody behind a very solid finish for a good man is a good woman. Are you impressed with the way the day when the whole weekend went?
Oh, certainly. I'm so proud of him. He did good.
I guess the ultimate question is, you're going down to Reno. How do you expect to surpass this?
Well, I guess a lot more hard work. Out to the hangar, honey.
Out to the hangar. That's it.
A lot of behind-the-scenes work?
Yes, definitely. Daily
on a regular basis. Well,
Absolutely.
we've got something real special for you, because not only hold the trophy up first, because we've got to show everybody this trophy that you won. This is a beautiful first-class trophy for first place.
Isn't this gorgeous? I love it.
For the inaugural air race, this is the trophy that John won, but we got a very special presentation for you, John. We're going to call Mike in. Mike's with Snap-on Tools. Mike has a very special presentation for you, John.
Mike, thank you, Mike. I appreciate it.
This was a great day, great race. And on behalf of the franchise leaders of Snap-on Tools in British Columbia, I'd like to present keys to a collector's edition of Dale Earnhardt race box.
Ooh, I love it. Dale Earnhardt, my favorite NASCAR guy, and thank you for Snap-on. We appreciate your help in this event.
We thank you very much. Come on back long enough, we can get one here with your airplane on front of it.
Absolutely, that's what we like to do, and Snap-on Tools are the best tools in the world, and we use them exclusively, and they're just great. And we just love them. Now we've got a great box to put them in. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much, Mike. Thanks, Mike. Okay, yeah, now you got a lovely toolbox.
Absolutely.
It's empty, and there's no truth to the rumor that those are the keys for my motorcycle, just so you understand this right off the bat, okay?
I don't know what kind of motorcycle you have.
I'm not telling you. It's in hiding right now. Now, we looked at the cockpit. You're going down. The biggest modification you're going to have to undertake when you're going down to Reno is you're going to have air contact. This is the first year they've actually encompassed radio air communication.
Right.
Is that going to affect your performance at all?
Not at all. We've been radio equipped for the last couple of years, and we're on top of it and ready to rumble, as it were. We're ready. We're ready. Bring it on. So.
Okay, John. Well, you take care of my counterpart, Steve.
I'll do it. We'll do that, Steve.
We'll talk to you down in Reno.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Thank you for Delta Cable. Appreciate you guys coming out, Delta Cable Vision. That's great. We've been watching you since we've been here. Did you have a good time today, Alicia? Did you enjoy the air races?
Rudy, what we've seen today is something new to our area out here. We hear rumors, myself and you going around talking to different people, that the Boundary Bay Airport has committed themselves to host this event for a number of years to come. We hope it's as successful.
I think it can be, and I would expect that as more people know, we'll have even larger crowds, and I would expect that we will also see more classes, airplane or racing classes. What we've seen today is Formula One, which is the most successful one ever.
That's the most predominant one that everybody hears about.
Yeah, now, it's been around 50 years.
We talk right now about the people that come to this event, the pilots, their teams, their pit crews, what we call the people. Their dedication must be unbelievable, because they've got to put a lot of time into it, never mind the money. And we found out a very interesting fact.
Actually, I was quite surprised. Ray Cody, when they were driving up here from California, they always bring their planes in trailers, because they don't fly them, because maximum 5 gallons of fuel on board gets you to Abbotsford from here. Anyway, the trailer fell apart, and they had to go and buy another one. That was last Saturday, about a week ago. And so he had to spend $8,000, about $8,000, and buy a new trailer and rig it so he could bring the aircraft here, so he could be here for this race.
Well, they managed.
Money which he may not recover.
Yeah, that's true. And of course, we both know sponsorship is of the utmost. You know, they would naturally like to get more sponsors on board.
Yeah, and many of them, there are teams that do not fly with sponsors. It's still an affordable sport, and that's how it, one of the big differences between this and, say, Indy racing. But as far as excitement, I mean, there was plenty.
It sure was. Rudy, we hope to see you back here next year, and
yeah,
it's been an awful lot of fun working with you.
And vice versa.
It's been a real pleasure. I know from my vantage point, you know, having my father in the Air Force for a number of years, this is a real different concept, being involved in the flying. What you've seen out here at the Boundary Bay Airport today is something that I hope on a personal level really comes and stays. There's so much involvement that goes on behind the scenes, never mind just in our own backyard in Delta. Let's go Vancouver, you've got the Molson Indy, you've got so much stuff that comes and goes. I hope this does come and hope to stay for years, because over 20,000 people come through the turnstile styles this weekend. That's nothing to really laugh at. We hope that this will come and stay, Rudy. Once again, an awful lot of fun. I want to thank you for working with us. It's been a good time because I know you had a lot of fun doing it. So we want to thank everybody, and we hope you enjoyed this inaugural event from the Boundary Bay Airport in Delta. The inaugural Vancouver International Formula One Air Races and Air Show have been brought to you in part by DCTV4 and the Vancouver Port Corporation, the Port of Vancouver's gateway to the Pacific. For information about the Port of Vancouver or Delta Port, call 666-3226. Attention for this month's show, featuring on some of the summer sports that happen in our own area. Of course, one of the big popular events that happen in Delta is that of lacrosse. Lacrosse in Delta has always had a big following. We've gone to major national championships. We had a chance to talk to Jim Keneal with the South Delta Minor Lacrosse, also president for North Delta Minor Lacrosse. We spoke to Bill Hobson about the endeavors that North Delta undertakes. Also, we had a chance to go to the Delta D's Rowing Club, talk to Lyle Gatley about the events that they host on a regular basis now, again, that this nice weather's upon us. And also, we had a chance to talk to a gentleman that's involved with the Delta Physiotherapy Clinic, and we really want to focus on sporting injuries, because sporting injuries is something that people go out, they participate in the sport, they play the game, but they forget to remember that you've got to respect your bodies. And the gentleman that we got involved on this segment was Chuck Ratzclaff, and he is the physiotherapist for Delta Physiotherapy. So without any further hesitation, let's go to the show. Bill, president for North Delta Minor Lacrosse, you've got a big job ahead of you this year. We want to know a little bit about the history of the lacrosse and the number of teams and everything.
Well, we've got in North Delta, we have one mini take, one take team, one novice team, two peewee, two bantam, and a midget team. And although our numbers are up, our rosters are big this year. We've got 16, 17, 18 players in a roster, and our mini take and take divisions that we struggled in the last few years, that's our feeding ground, you know, just like in hockey. We've got those numbers up, and that's really looking good this year. So we're very happy there. So we've got teams in every division in minor lacrosse.
Okay, how long has the association been in conception right now?
Well, North Delta Lacrosse has been around for about 20 years. Okay, actually, I think it's our 21st year. And it was started in North Delta. They played outdoor games and practices at, I think they started at Gunnarsson Box, where the Gunnarsson Box is now. And, you know, so there's a bit of a history there. And while we're talking, if anybody out there has any memorabilia for North Delta Lacrosse, we'd like to have it in our trophy case at the Sun Gut.
Yeah, always nice to have. Okay, now, the number of people involved, a lot of volunteers behind the scenes. Give us an indication of the numbers.
Well, we've got, it starts with our board of directors is about 10 to 12, depending on, you know, what we have. We have a president, two vice presidents, We have a treasurer, a scheduler who does scheduling, and she's also our registrar. We have a head team manager for the managers of the association. We have a head coach and a head referee, and things like that. So there's about 10 to 12 of us on the board, and then of course we're always looking at 1, 2, 3 coaches on every team, and a manager, and some training experience and things.
Is lacrosse for your job anyway? Is it seasonal? You go from, we'll say, July possibly till maybe the end of the summer?
Myself as a president, I attend Lower Mainland meetings once a month all year except August. I think there's August or September we miss one. The rest of the year I'm at least one meeting. And then we have our own board meetings starting in September, so I do 2. And then, of course, we have special meetings for tournaments and opening day and all that neat stuff.
Now, North Delta Lacrosse falls under the umbrella of the BC Lacrosse Association, operating out of Burnaby. It's a big association. There's lots of organizations, lots of minor teams, as well as intermediate lacrosse, as well as going up to the Junior A, Junior B, and also the WLA lacrosse. Now, let's talk about intermediate. Do we have a feeder system, or do we have an intermediate lacrosse team like we used to in the past?
In North Delta, we don't have an intermediate team. We've been looking for a couple of years at getting an intermediate team here. We've got some boys that have graduated from midget and last year and this year who can play intermediate A, and our plan here is to get an intermediate team here next year. Okay, yeah, but we haven't had an intermediate team in North Delta for about I think 1991 was the last year.
Where they used to be called the Tomahawks?
Yeah, Tomahawks, and then we changed it to Hawks, and we changed the colors of our uniforms. But yeah, we'd love to have a junior team or a senior team in this rink. We've got the rink for it in North Delta. I mean, the Sun God Arena, look at the facilities, fantastic, okay? One thing that really spurns a lot of activity in the lower levels with lacrosse is if you have the big guys playing. So if you have a senior team or a junior A team or both, you get a lot more activity. Your numbers get up because the kids are more exposed to the game and they can see the big guys on a regular basis.
They look up to them as well. They idolize them, no different from a hockey player.
Exactly. They look up to them. They love to watch the game at its highest level, and then you get more recruits. You get more people into the game.
What's one of the biggest concerns that you've got with North Delta minor lacrosse? I know floor time is a major concern.
Floor time has always been concerned because, of course, we've got ball hockey, as you know, that are vying for floor time in here. So basically, it's a short season, spring and summer. We got the 2 venues vying for the floor time here, and we really, of course, can't get in until the ice is out. Then once the ice is back in, we're finished.
So it's pretty well a short season.
It's a short season. We haven't had a playoff game in North Delta at the Sun God for, I bet you, 3 or 4 years. None of our teams. We've always had to play in other venues. But this year we may get some floor time at the rec center because they're going to do some maintenance at the end of June. So they've said that, yeah, we might get some playoff games. That'll be great.
It sure would.
Yeah.
Good for the association.
Yep.
Any major tournaments you've got coming up?
We have 2 tournaments in North Delta. We have a Bantam B tournament. I think it's the weekend of the 24th of May, and it's full. We filled that thing up like nothing, I think, in a week or 2.
What about number of teams? How many teams?
We got 8 teams. We got them coming from Kelowna. We've got them coming from the island. I think there's somebody from the interior, so things are really looking good there. It's a great tournament.
Okay, now you mentioned that briefly. What's the lacrosse compare like in the interior to what we've got down here?
Well, it all depends, you see, because if you take the interior or the Okanagan or the north, what they do mostly is they might have 4 or 5 Pee-wee teams and they'll play house, where we have to tier down here. We have to tier A1, A2, B, or C.
So they could have a stacked house team.
Yeah, so they could have a stacked house team, but what they do, they have no requirement to play X amount of games on their team to come into provincials. So what they can do is they could have 3 Pee-wee teams, and at the end of their season, pick one all-star team and come down to the provincials, or in this case, the A2s are up in Kelowna this year, so we're looking forward to see what happens there.
Somehow that just doesn't seem like it's too feasible for the associations in the Lower Mainland.
Yeah, we are, of course, stronger. The Lower Mainland has not, we have 65% of the lacrosse population, Lower Mainland, okay, in the province. Yet we seem to be losing a little control when it comes to our voice. Kelowna has the A2 championships. There's people on the minor direct. The commissioner of the minor direct is from the island, so
What do you contribute for the success of lacrosse in the Lower Mainland? Is it successful because of the fact that we've got the WLA based in the Lower Mainland and the growth of that?
I think, I think that helps, right? But I think it comes down to the enthusiasm of the volunteers, the people on the executives, and and all the associations. Like I mentioned, we meet all year round, and I'll tell you, we put in a lot of time to promote the sport, and the BCLA helps a lot with their posters and with getting their senior players down here in these exhibition games and things like that. But we're fighting with baseball, soccer, every other sport to get.
It'd be nice. I've heard from a lot of different people what they've said is they'd like to have not only an exhibition WLA game here at the start of the season, they would also like to see a league game here throughout the course of the season as well.
Yeah, we have. We'd love to, and this offer is open to any WLA team. We would love to get a game or 2 or 3 in here during the season. We get the fans in, promote the game in the area. We'd love that. Okay, but it hasn't happened yet. But last year we had the North Shore Indians in here practicing at the Sun God every Monday night, and that was good.
It adds a lot to the association, especially when, as you say, the young people can come out and join them and watch them and stuff like that. Good for them. So, okay, now last question. Somebody wants to get a hold of you for lacrosse. What's your number where they can contact you?
You would call 596-7925. That's myself, Bill, or Kerry Patrick at 591-9540. And by the way, we're still looking for some Bantam players, which would be guys born, or gals, born 84, okay? 83, 84?
Okay.
No, 84, 85.
Around there. Bantam, either way, it's a Bantam player, right?
When you get older, you lose it, eh?
Don't say that too often.
But we've, 84, 85. Born in those years, we could use a few more Bantam players. Okay. So if anybody wants to come in, we can use you.
Okay, good. So if somebody wants to get registered for minor lacrosse in North Delta, give Bill a phone call, and he's giving you the numbers, and he'll be more than receptive to look after you. Thanks, Bill.
Right on. Thank you.
Both North Delta and South Delta minor lacrosse, although working the minor program, they both have separate executives that work their associations completely different. Both coincide each other. They both teach the young people how to play lacrosse, especially the fundamentals. We had a chance to talk to a gentleman with the South Delta minor lacrosse, Mr. Jim Keneal.
I'm involved on the executive as the vice president of Delta Minor Lacrosse here in Ladner and Tsawwassen, and we're totally separate from North Delta Minor Lacrosse, and being a member of the executive for the last 4 years. And as part of the executive, we try to promote the game of lacrosse here in Delta, and as you know, it's got a very rich tradition. It's being played here for over 70 years, and we're very pleased to give children as well as young adults the opportunity to continue playing the game here, and we're very appreciative of the support that the community has been giving us to continue playing the game, and so we're really pleased with the growth that we've had in the game.
How many children are involved in the association?
We're getting pretty close to about 300 players, and
throughout Ladner and Tsawwassen?
Ladner and Tsawwassen, and we've pretty well doubled in the last 2 to 3 years in terms of our growth, and we're really pleased with that, and we have more and more children looking at playing the game, and so we're finding that we just want to encourage as many kids playing, and we have kids as young as 5 years of age playing the game in our mini tights, and that's been a real added bonus for our program.
Is that the lowest?
That's the lowest
age group.
Is mini tights. So we'll take a child even as young as 4 years of age, 4 or 5, and we'll take that child, and right through the whole system, they could be playing the game of lacrosse right into their 20s and 30s. And in fact, there's a master's program here in Delta Lacrosse in which players over 30 years of age can still continue to play competitively. So it's a sport that can be played right from being a young child of 4 or 5 right up to your 30s or older.
Can you just quickly go through the age groups or divisions that you have?
Sure. Basically what we have is our 4, 5, and 6-year-olds are our mini tights. Our 7 and 8-year-olds are our tights, and our 9 and 10-year-olds are our novice, and the 11, 12-year-olds are our peewee. 13, 14 are our bantam, and 15, 16 are our midget players, 17, 18 are intermediates, and 19 to 21 are our juniors, and then after 21 we have our senior pioneers that have been here for many, many years.
And they play out of the Ladner Arena?
Yes, both The Pioneers play out of Ladner Arena, of course, as well as the Miners. They play both out of Ladner and the South Delta Arena in Tawasin, where both of those arenas are used strictly for games. And we use the outdoor boxes here. They're used every day, particularly during the months of April, May, and June, and partially of July for practices, strictly practices. We don't have games being played at this point in the outside outdoor box.
Now, you mentioned that your league is expanding probably double in the last 2 or 3 years. Do you have a problem finding time in the arenas?
A little bit as we start to grow, because we see ourselves getting, our quality of players are getting better and better, and we're now playing what they call A caliber lacrosse, and which means that Delta Lacrosse plays the very best lacrosse against other teams, other associations in the province. So we play at a level now in which we play with the very best people that play the game of lacrosse in British Columbia. So as a result, with our growth, we're always looking at getting practice time if we can, and game time, of course, in both the arenas. Yeah, so there's always that bit of a concern. But our growth has not been stagnant. Our growth has been continued, and we're really pleased about that.
Hey, Jim, tell me a bit about your executive.
Yeah, we basically have 4 to 5 members on our executive, and presently right now we have Denise Taylor as our president, and we have Kim Vincent as our treasurer, our secretary, and Carol Taylor is our treasurer, and myself. So we try to keep the basic executive in place and try to give the kids an opportunity to play the game and keep the registration affordable. And counting that with, we must have over 40 coaches, all volunteer coaches. With the teams, we have to try to get 2 to 3 coaches per team. And a lot of them are parents that are learning the game, and we also insist that our coaches become certified. In other words, that they take the recommended and level 1, level 2 courses that are put out through the Canadian National Coaching Certification Program. And so that just helps having good people behind the bench, as well as we have all the volunteers that are involved, the team moms, and very much like the other minor sports like your hockey and soccer, which involve the team moms, the team parents that take
And nobody's paid for their time. They're just doing it for the love of the game.
Yeah, everyone's a volunteer, and we're really, really fortunate in that we have a tremendous group of volunteers, a very good group of people that get along with each other and help each other out. And I've been very fortunate these last 4 years to be involved on the executive and to help and promote the game of lacrosse. So I'm very, very pleased with all the wonderful volunteers that we have in our program here in Delta.
Down at Dees Island Park, we're going to talk to the gentleman that's past president for the rowing club, Lyle Gatley. Lyle, tell us a little bit about the club, when it got started and how it got started.
Okay, the club started back in 1986. We started with a high school rowing program. We built that program up over a couple of years and realized we had a problem because we had a couple of boats, no place to store the boats. So most of our kids were rowing out of South Dallas Secondary. In fact, the first time we had anybody come to advertise for it in the school, we came up with 60 kids showed up.
What was the reason for the actual start of the club?
A couple of us who have been involved in sports at an international level decided it was maybe payback time. You know, we were sponsored and carried for our rowing career. We thought it was time to maybe give something back to the community.
You've had a fairly successful career as well.
I had a fairly unsuccessful career as a rower, but I had some good times, and I went to some international meets and rowed for Canada at one point in the Olympic Games.
So, nice honor.
Yeah, yes, it was wonderful. And we had some other people in the club like Joy Farah who's done the same. Over the last few years, we managed to build the club from a high school program strictly to now we have a program which involves about 100 adults as well, and a master's program, and another probably 100 students as well who are rowing competitively.
So you work very close with the younger people in the high schools?
I don't, but we have a rowing program that allows us to do that. We've got some very fine coaches. In fact, I think we're fortunate enough, I would guess our head coach maybe is one of the finest technical coaches in the Lower Mainland.
Okay, now we watched, as we were coming down, we watched some of the young people putting the boats in the water, and you can tell me if it's the right terminology or wrong terminology, but as we watch them put them in, there's different types. There's some with have 2 seats, some with 4, and some of them we see out there with 8.
Yeah, there's 2 types of rowing. One is one style, if you have a single blade in your hand, then you are doing sweep rowing. So you obviously can't do that on your own, or you're running in circles. So sweep rowing involves at least 2, which would be a pair. Then we would go up to a 4, and that could be a 4 with or without a coxswain. And then we also have an 8. If we have 2 blades in our hand, then we can be in a single, and that's what Silken Lawman was doing in the Olympics. We can also be in a quad, which is 4 people. a double, and there's no 8 for them.
Okay, what's the size of the boats, and what weight might we be looking at?
Well, an 8-man shell is probably 60, 65 feet long, and a racing shell might weigh as little as 350, 400 pounds. The shell that you saw us bring down here a little earlier is one of our work boats, and it probably weighs about 500 pounds, so it's designed to last a little longer.
And they're not that thick either.
Oh no, in fact, the really good shells are very, very light, very thin. The hull on those boats is probably 1/8 of an inch thick. And in the old wooden boats, you could fracture a hull pretty easily. You just step in the wrong spot and you go right through it.
Now, what type of person could come down here and actually row for your club? I know you've got a yearly membership fee. Could I come down? I mean, now virtually I know nothing about the sport other than watching it on television like the rest of the people. Could I get involved?
Well, now we have more programs for adults than we've ever had before. Let's go the whole gamut. If you're a high school student, we run a Learn to Row program in the summers for high school kids. And then we run a very extensive competitive program over the course of the winter. For adults now, we have 2 ways you can row. One, you could join our Learn to Row program, which is about $180 for 10 lessons. And we have, I think, 10 sessions of that, so it's just a case of phoning the club to find out. We also have a community challenge, which is new for us this year. And in that case, we've gone around to different community organizations and businesses and said, would you like to come down and row? So for eight lessons, $100 a person, your company come down and we'll teach you how to row. And what that really does is teach a number of people, 8 people, how to work well together, because you can't row a shell unless you're all working together.
Well, we were talking earlier on about the fact that, if they didn't put the oar in the water properly, a person could seriously get hurt.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll give you an example. Joy Farah is a very, very accomplished Olympic rower. And what did they call her? She actually, in a race, this is the story I've heard, she caught a crab and got thrown right out of the shell. Now, catching a crab is just basically you put the blade in incorrectly. If everybody else in that boat's driving at the same time and you can't, that blade's going to whip around on you, and it threw her right out of the shell. So, yeah, if you've got a powerful crew, you can get hurt.
That's like trying to shift a car in reverse when you're going 100 miles an hour.
That would do it.
Boy, oh boy, would that ever come to an abrupt stop. Now, we watched the people out here. We talked about, who can get involved. Okay, now, I'm a little larger than some of the young people I've watched go in the boats today. Is there a size that possibly, people couldn't get in the boat?
That's one of the reasons why I was so involved in this club at the start, is I rowed when rowing was a very elite sport. You did it through UBC or you did it through a private school. Now, especially in this club, anybody can row, any size, any shape. We've got some people in this club who are in their 60s, who are rowing competitively this summer at the Nike World Masters Games. We've got some people who are maybe 25, 30 pounds overweight in their 40s, who are out here rowing on a regular basis, enjoying themselves and getting good exercise, and they're not competitive. And we've got big people like myself that are either rowing part-time and enjoying it, or even being competitive. So it's open to anybody.
Obviously, there's no real age restriction for people. Young people, you would not naturally want younger people involved at a real young age.
The starting point is just size. If you're too small, if you're really too small, it's going to be hard to get out there and row. But we also need coxswains, someone to control the boat for us.
Okay, now the fun is still there for everybody, but once these people get past the initial stage of going on and going out to compete just, within their own community, where do they go from here, especially to get to the Olympic level?
Yeah, our head coach, Lee Holyoke, decided a couple of years ago that we had a gap in our program. We had a high school program, we had a master's program, and there was nothing for the collegiate. So she developed a collegiate program, and we've had college kids rowing out of this club rather than having to go to UBC or University of Victoria. So that's been a real bonus for us, because what we didn't appreciate was those are the kids that come back and help us coach the high school program.
Well, Silken Lauman, coming from Victoria, she's really put the club on the map, too.
Oh, yeah, well, not just Silken. We have probably the highest number of medals in Olympic sports in rowing than any other sport. And we don't hear about some of the others. Silken is an incredible athlete, but hundreds of other athletes have done almost as well, with lots of gold medals and stuff. In fact, one of our coaches, Mike Rasher, coached for us when we first opened the program here, and 8 years later he was in the Olympics, gold medal.
Now, sponsorship, is it tough to get sponsors on board to come out and help you out? Because nowadays, fighting for the almighty dollar seems like a tough thing.
We've had, when we started building the boathouse, we needed a lot of community help. I mean, we had no funding. We had just an idea, and this community backed us 100%. Stan Thomas at Delta Cable was very, very helpful. Delta Credit Union was very helpful, and other organizations that put a little money in the pot for us to get us rolling. I guess we rely a lot on funding from the government through lotteries.
Okay, what's the future of the club?
Well, we're just in the business now of doing a complete relook at what we're up to. We're doing a 5-year plan, and we're going to expand the boathouse because I think we can double the size of this program, and we're just doing a business plan to see if that's feasible, whether it's economical. But I think the business of building this boathouse and expanding it is going to happen for sure. We've got about a third of the money already from different sources, and we've got the architect with the plans. We're going to go ahead with it.
Okay, so if someone wants to get involved in rowing, what's the phone number?
Oh, now it's funny you should ask that, because I just happen to have a brochure in my hand here. If you're looking at a Learn to Row program, there's the number. What is the number, please?
946-3074.
Well, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, Lyle, thanks very much, and continued success with the club.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Sports, injuries, pretty well synonymous. The two of them go hand in hand. In Delta area, no different from any other area in the country, we see people go out, they participate in any different sport, whatever it might be, and it doesn't matter what age you are, you participate in a sport, but you always want to compete at the level you competed at last year, especially with the intensity and the desire and the dedication you participate. Well, we've got to change your train of thinking on that, because we have to get you to understand it's very important. One is to respect your body. Two is to go out and, no matter what anybody might tell you, do your warm-up exercises. And in light of that, we wanted to really get right down to the basics in that, so we went over and talked to the Delta Orthopedic Physio Clinic with Chuck Ratcliffe. We're at Delta Orthopedic and Physiotherapy Clinic here on Scott Road. We're with Chuck Ratcliffe, and we're going to talk about sporting injuries, because it's that time of the year, Chuck, where people always turn their attention to going out, considering the nice weather's here now, and they always have this big tendency of getting injured in the most precarious positions. Now, let's talk first off about sporting injuries. Baseball is very prevalent. The young kids put their skates away. They play baseball. What's some of the sporting injuries you deal with?
Well, you're right, Steve. We do see a lot of injuries this time of year associated with baseball. In baseball, we especially see shoulder injuries. That's probably the most common. Elbow would probably be a close second, and then back injuries, something that happens not so much with the kids, but with the weekend warrior, the older middle-aged
wannabes.
Yeah, the wannabes or wases, those kind of guys with the back injuries in baseball.
Okay, now let's talk about the young kids first before we go on to the adults. The young kids, the biggest thing that I find is I go out and I watch them on the ball diamond. They go on the diamond, and no disrespect meant to the coaches, they don't have a proper warm-up.
That often is the case, is that warming up is something that's overlooked or hustled into, and probably one of the most important things with respect to, especially with throwing, with pitching, is elevating the temperature of the muscles before you get into something as vigorous and as hard on the body as throwing is.
Okay, now let's focus on pitching first off. We talked about that because whether you're an outfielder or infielder, you've got to throw the ball. You were talking about shoulder injuries, rotation as well as the elbows injuries.
Yeah.
How or what concerns do you have that they maybe should correct?
Well, there's a few things. Warming up is a really important one, and not only each time you go out, but building a base for throwing is important too. So that means going out, starting by throwing softly or not as hard, and a critical part of the throwing. And that can be from a qualified coach or a professional, and it goes a long way to protecting the body, protecting the shoulder. And then the third thing, which is our bias here, the physio clinic obviously is an individual assessment of the body with respect to muscle balance. Is the flexibility equal on both sides of the shoulder joint? Is the strength there? Is the trunk strength there? Is the hip strength there? Because throwing, as you know, isn't something that just comes from the shoulder. It starts in the legs, and good lower body strength and flexibility is equally important.
Okay, well, if they were going to throw the ball for the very first time in the season and they did throw the ball, where might they feel some pain?
Probably the shoulder. That's
which area? If I turn my back, which you can show me on my back?
Probably they feel pain somewhere in this area here, Steve. It would probably either be in the front here or in the back, and it would be from probably throwing too hard. and without warming up properly.
Okay, and the elbow area?
Elbow area, the most common area on the elbow is the inside of the elbow here. The throwing motion is in this position here, and the force is applied to the inside of the elbow. So mostly the inside of the elbow.
So it's with the rotation?
It's with the rotation and sort of the whipping motion you get as you bring the arm through.
Okay, now we turn our attention to the older people. As we said earlier on the wannabes, they go out, they sit behind a desk all week long, or they do lack of strenuous work. They go out and they play on the ball diamond on the weekend, and they really overexert themselves.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Steve. And not only that, but a lot of them have wear and tear injuries or previous injuries from sporting injuries in the past. Their muscle system has become somewhat softer than it may have been in the past, not always. And they go out and throw hard, and it exposes those areas.
And some of them also, they're a little bit overweight. They've gained 1 or 2 pounds, and that just comes to say. They've gained a few pounds, so they go out and they try too hard. They overexert themselves, as we said, and you know, it's the importance of warming up and the real respect for their own body.
It is. That's really important. Baseball is a sport where you have a lot of explosive maneuvers happening, but they don't happen that often. And so it's important that the body temperature, the muscle temperature is elevated before that happens, and because if it's not, it leaves the tissues and the joints vulnerable to injury.
Now, we tried to focus this month's show on summer sports, that being lacrosse, either North Delta or South Delta minor lacrosse. Both executives operate in the same unique fashion. They teach and they focus on the skill and the development of lacrosse for the younger players. They teach them. Congratulations to them for that, because both associations have an exceptional program. Also, we went to the Delta D's Rowing Club. I was quite amazed, because when I first went there, I didn't know anything about it, but now I'm not going to be a scholastic rower, but I know a little more about it now than what I did before. We also wanted to focus on injuries, summertime injuries, that being golf, the favorite pastime of a lot of people, as well as baseball. We hope you've learned a little bit how to respect your body, treat it with the utmost respect, and of all else, we want to tell everybody, go out, teach the youngsters the specifics, the fundamentals of the game, and bottom line for the young people out there, if you're watching, have fun. Don't take it too serious, but winning is not everything. Well, we hope you enjoyed the show this month. Thanks for watching. I'm Steve Erickson. If you don't play sports, at least be one. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sports Wave. I'm Steve Erickson, coming to you from the site of the 16th Annual Harry Jerome Track Classic at Swan Guard Stadium. Have you ever wondered about the people that go and do track and field events, play baseball, play basketball, play hockey? They wear the knee braces? Well, we did. We took our cameras behind the scenes and did a little bit of investigative reporting to find out how the braces are actually made. A high-tech company in Richmond, homegrown, called Generation 2. We wanted to find out that. We also took our cameras to the Sun God Aquatic Center to find out a little bit about swimming and diving. We also talked to Jerry Tamboline, president of the Delta Ball Hockey Association, find out just exactly what the Delta Ball Hockey Association is all about. We also had a chance to talk and do a checkup, because we promised earlier on we'd check up on the Vancouver Canadians. Just how exactly are they doing? We're going to tell you. Finally, we figured, well, we get a lot of aspiring local Delta athletes. They want to be professional athletes. One day they want to be like Donovan Bailey. We took our cameras behind the scenes to the track meet here at Swan Guard Stadium to just check that out. And we also talked to Icon for the track and field for our own local province, Mr. Bill McNulty, to get an in-depth view on several different things that involve the track and field. Stay tuned. Sports Wave is up next. Last month's show, we featured injuries primarily focused on baseball. This month, we're going to turn our attention to injuries that athletes of all sports get. The injuries involving the knee itself. We come out to Richmond to Generation 2. These are the people that designed and actually make the brace that the people wear. Doesn't matter whether you're a baseball player, a basketball player, or a tennis player. This is where they get made, and we're going to go inside and get fitted for one. In the 70s, Geordie Taylor from Vancouver began looking for a better way to provide more functional braces for unstable knees. Not only were the early braces uncomfortable, they did not have the ability to mimic the normal biomechanics of the knee. As a result, they tended to slip and rotate and piston on the patient's legs. In 1972 came the invention of his polyaxial hinge, which allowed the brace to closely approximate the normal motion of the knee, thusly resulting in a more comfortable brace that stays in place. Scott, I've finally got to get my brace. Now, they tell me I have to come out here and get all set up. Tell me, first off, I see so many of them. What are they all about?
Yeah, we've basically got 6 main braces, starting from at this end here, an off-the-shelf patella stabilizer brace, very common for teenagers in sports. Patellar tendonitis, tracking of the patella, often a case while the person's growing and they aggravate the condition through sports. This is helping to track the kneecap and maintain the position and give some support.
Good stability.
Good stability. Relieve some pain as well, so the person can maintain activity relatively pain-free. So
okay, now the next type?
This is an off-the-shelf brace called the Express, the Unloader Express. It's an off-the-shelf version of the brace you're getting. You're getting the custom unloader. This is the off-the-shelf and pre-sized so the person can come in and get it today.
Okay, now the next one that we're looking at?
The next one is the custom unloader brace. This is what you've been cast and we're fitting on you today. And it's for unloading the joint compartment, unicompartmental, either medial or lateral. In your case, it's a medial. Symptoms of osteoarthritis. We need to open up the bones and take some pressure out of the joint and alleviate pain and symptoms of osteoarthritis.
Oh, arthritis. I don't like that word already. Okay, now we'll go to the next one.
This is another off-the-shelf brace. It's called the Trainer. It's our off-the-shelf ligament brace, and we use this for lower-level ligament injuries, such as a medial collateral ligament tear that will heal up in approximately 8 to 12 weeks. Get the person back active while the rehab's taking place.
Okay, it looks like it's got a little bit of like nylon support in the center with a cutout for the kneecap.
There's a neoprene sleeve, and there's a steel hinge on the lateral aspect, some stabilizers, and there's 4 main straps to control the brace.
Okay, the next one that we're looking at?
This is our custom ligament brace. Okay, and this is for a more serious ligament injury, for instance, anterior cruciate ligaments. You're probably familiar with a lot of...
Like Pavel Bury's?
Pavel Bury, for instance, had the ACL repair. This is the custom brace where, again, we cast the leg, and this is for more serious control of that injury and for rehab as well. People usually have to wear this brace about 1 to 2 years minimum after an ACL reconstruction.
After viewing the different types of braces, Scott Robinson then prepared my leg by means of a cast.
And that's where bracing has become more widespread. It's not just for athletes anymore. Braces are made quite comfortable. They're functional for everyday use, and if people can get around the idea of putting on a brace, then they'll be in good shape.
Now, I see a lot of male athletes wear them. I see several different baseball players that actually do them, like lady baseball players. Do you fit a lot of ladies?
Yeah, we do. There's probably almost 50-50. You know, they do their ACLs and have arthritis as much as the men do. Yep.
Yeah. After the cast, a mold is prepared, so a custom-fitted knee brace is made to true specifications. A high-tech factory is located on-site in Richmond where the knee braces are manufactured by hand to produce a unique, one-of-a-kind, custom-fitted brace that will ultimately protect the athlete from possible further injury. As I soon learned, putting a new knee brace on takes practice and is a learning experience. Well, we're finally in the room where the finished products are, and we're going to get fitted right now. So, Scott, I see my braces already, and I don't know whether I am, but let's have at it.
Yeah. Here's your custom unloader brace. This is your leg. And I'm going to put this brace on you and go over the specific strapping steps and positioning of the brace, and there's a few things I need to check with the fit of it.
Okay. It's amazing. I didn't have any idea what this was all about when I first come in here. This is quite the device.
Okay. Now, straighten out your leg a little bit for me. Position the brace like so. You start the brace up nice and high on the leg. Okay. We anchor you down first. There's 4 main straps to put on with this brace.
It's like a puzzle.
Yeah, it is a bit of a puzzle. We give an instruction manual for people in case they forget.
Good, I might need it.
So we anchor you down with that first strap there, and that grabs your calf muscle and keeps the brace from slipping. Okay. We've got a strap up in the thigh. Like so.
No, I see it was sitting over a little bit to my left when I look at it, and you moved it a little more to
Yeah, it just helps position the hinge a little bit, because the next strap I put on is going to be twisting the brace a touch the other way. So it just offsets the shell. We work our way down the leg. The key strap put on next. Spirals. This is the one that spirals around your leg, and we'll come back to it later, but this is the strap that does all the work for you.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And finally,
finish off with the calf strap.
Boy, that's pretty stable.
Nice and snug.
Is it ever?
Final step is to bend your knee, and I'm going to tighten this strap here. Okay. So now if you go to straighten your leg again, you should start to feel it tightening in here.
Yeah, you can.
Okay. That's the key to the brace. This strap tightens as you go into extension. It's pulling on the femur in this direction against 2 forces from the hinge to unload the medial compartment.
Wow.
So the tighter you do this, the more pressure release you can get in the joint.
A lot more beneficial to me.
Right, so that's the key.
Never mind not knowing they were in Richmond, I was amazed to learn that this company possessed such a high-tech device that will enable athletes as well as people from all walks of life to participate and enjoy sports to the fullest.
It was a little sore coming in here. And that will just relieve the pressure.
Go in front there.
Okay, well, we're all finished, Scott. It was painless.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the finished product that we're dealing with right now, right?
There's your brace.
Oh, look, I can get a nice little
sports bag. Couple sleeves for you
You
here.
were saying earlier on, just before we package these sleeves, you were saying these sleeves go underneath the brace, right?
That's right. Right, it's a stocking.
That's to prevent sweating?
Well, it absorbs some sweat, and it's more for patient comfort. You can put that in the wash.
That's good. I can see where I get that because I won't get the whole thing. Now, the one thing, before we package this thing, the one thing we talked about earlier on, so we should make mention so that everybody at home knows. We talked about baseball players, if they're sliding and they get any dirt in this thing, what can they do to prevent it, or how can they clean it?
Usually put a hinge cover on the brace to keep dirt out of the hinge. So beach volleyball, baseball, soccer, sports like that. If they get dirt in the hinge, they can blast some water in there, and if that doesn't get it out, bring it in and let us maintain the hinge for you.
Okay, no doubt you will. Okay, so we put this back.
We give you a tube of grease for the hinge. We went over that.
Yeah.
And then here's your instruction manual.
An instruction manual. I need this because the first time I tried to do it myself, I couldn't figure it out.
So it's got your fitting instructions right there.
Okay.
And maintenance.
Good deal. I might need that.
I
just might. That is quite the little device from start to finish. Even personalized, got my name on it and everything.
Yeah. All right, Steve.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
It's been our pleasure to come out here and figure out how this thing goes together.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Very special thanks to Scott and the people of Generation 2 for helping us put that piece together. And right now, let's turn our attention to the water and go swimming. Situated at the outdoor pool right now on 84th Ave, joined by the president for the North Delta Sunfish Swim Club, Deb DeRocher. Deb, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, now we're going to talk primarily about the club itself. How did the club get formed?
The club has been operating for 27 years. This is their 27th year. And it started with a group of families in North Delta some who had been competitive swimmers and some who just wanted their kids to be able to swim.
What about the numbers of youngsters that are involved in the program?
This year is one of our largest years. We have 165 children this year. The last time we had that many kids was in 1984. So the club went down a bit and has been growing steadily since then.
What are the ages of the individuals?
I think our youngest is about 5 and the oldest is around 21. So a good age range.
Now, lots of concerns surround this pool. Years back, they were actually looking at the possibility of maybe closing it down and shutting it down. Is that due to budget restraints?
It's largely due to budget restraints and also the fact that this pool, other than our use, doesn't get used a lot in the summer. And so it's difficult because we're the prime users. And when you look at 165 kids, you think, is it worth it to keep a facility open for that many children?
I mean, anytime you can keep the youngsters off the streets, it's got to be a benefit to society in general.
Exactly, and we're a prime user of this pool, and we do use it really well. The children are great kids, and it's a great opportunity for them in sport.
What are the practice times? When do the youngsters practice?
Anywhere from 5:45 in the morning, 5:45 till around 8 in the morning while school's in, and then they start again around 3:15 in the afternoon until sundown.
Okay, now different functions that the club's involved in. I drive by 84 several times, and I see different canopies or tents out front. What's all that about?
We do a variety of different social things with the kids before and after their practices. We have a pasta night where all of the families bring pasta. We have a pizza night. We go to Splashdown Park. We have a movie night. They're going to vertical reality to go rock climbing. So they do a variety of different things.
Okay, now when you have different swim meets, where do the youngsters come from? Different parts of the Lower Mainland or the province?
Mostly the Lower Mainland, although we do get them from the island, a fair number of kids from the island. Far away as Abbotsford, Hope, those sorts of areas. The other side of the Fraser as well, so we get a good range.
How do some of our youngsters measure up against some of the incoming swimmers?
This club traditionally has done very well. 4 years ago, they were second in the province. We have a lot of new swimmers, and so provincially, I don't think we're going to do as well for the next couple of years until the kids sort of grow into the sport. But generally, they do very well. We have very good coaching staff.
Is there a large amount of them that drop out for after a couple of years?
If you can keep them in until they're around 14, then they tend to stay in. That's the tough age, the 13 to 14-year-olds. But if we can keep them in until then, quite often they'll stay in until they're in their late teens and early 20s, even just to train. They don't necessarily compete. They may only compete a couple of meets a year, but the training itself is worth it.
Now, we talked about this is seasonal. This is obviously strictly summer. What's the difference between summer swimming and winter swimming, besides one that's indoors?
Right. Summer swimming, the kids are restricted to competition from the middle of May until about the third week in August, and they don't compete at all during the winter. Winter swimmers can compete all year, and in fact, most winter clubs operate pretty much all year. They may have July and August off. Our kids can't compete during the winter, and they can only train 2 hours a week. So most of our children are involved in other sports. Many of them play hockey and soccer through the winter season to stay fit.
We hear rumors down the road. There's always concerns about the pools, budget restraints, etc. What's the possibilities? I hear rumors that they might be twinning maybe Sun God down the road.
One of our past presidents, Booth Palmer, is on the Delta Sun God Task Force. So we're looking at all the different options that are available to us. And all of the pool users are represented on that task force. I think one of the things they're talking about is twinning Sun God, but they're looking at different plans and the budgets that are going to be required, etc. So it's a complicated process.
Oh, is it ever? Nothing simple nowadays.
No, that's right. Anything that has to do with funding is always very complicated.
Hey, Deb, if somebody was interested in getting in contact with the club, who would they contact and what's the number?
Our registrars are Sheila and Rainer Mans, and they're at 594-2623.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thanks.
Well, that was a bit of a splash. All right, let's go from one to the other, from the pool into the Sun God Arena right now. Talk to the president for Delta Ball Hockey, Jerry Tambeline. Jerry, here at the Sun God Arena, home for the Delta Minor Ball Hockey. We've seen some youngsters playing ball hockey behind us. Tell us about the association in general.
We started out 10 years ago with 2 teams of 16, 17, 18-year-olds, and today we're 240 players, ages 5 to 18, and we continue to grow 10 to 15 players per year. It's basically taking street hockey off the street.
Well, what was the initial concept? What was the reason for starting ball hockey in the first place? Just that?
Just to get the kids off the street, give them a place to play, a bit of competition, with some rules. We've added some basic rules, very similar to ice hockey, with a couple of exceptions. If you raise the stick above your shoulders, it's a 2-minute penalty. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
You know, with playing inside the Sun God Arena, you've naturally got the growth of the individuals, the kids playing. Was it tough sell initially to get the organization started?
It was very tough. There was basically 2 people that got it off the ground. I've been involved personally for 7 years. This is my 7th year as president. And we've come a long way in support from parents and the players. We took it from 2 initial people starting it up to now we have an executive of 11 people.
Who were the initial 2?
We started out with Lance Parker and Tom Brewer, and Lance stepped out the second year, and I stepped in, and it's basically grown from there.
I tell you, they've put a good product on the floor. But the thing that amazes me is that Delta is only one of 3 associations in the whole Lower Mainland that have an organized program, and the other 2 being Surrey and Langley.
We've tried other areas. We've approached Richmond. We've approached Port Coquitlam. Nobody seems to be able to get it off the ground. If they do, there's 1 team for a year, maybe 2. Usually at the higher levels. It basically takes some commitment by some adults to get it going. Program? No, you don't need a lot of equipment. You need some CSA approved equipment, such as a helmet and full cage.
And one would imagine that a lot of the youngsters playing would probably play ice hockey, so they've obviously got the equipment to start.
We do attract a lot of kids from soccer. The running aspect is good conditioning for soccer, and we traditionally have a lot of soccer players.
Open to boys and girls?
Boys and girls. Presently, we have 7 girls playing in the association. We've had 7 is our top as far as girls. We've had a couple playing off and on over the years, right up to the age of 18.
Okay, now if someone wants to get a hold of you about Delta Minor Ball Hockey, and what's the number?
They can phone myself, being the president, at 507-0780. They can get in touch with us through the Parks and Rec Department. They can also get in touch with us through Nordell Sports in North Delta here.
All right, ball hockey uses a hockey stick. Let's turn our attention to another sport that uses a stick right now. Play ball with the Vancouver Canadians. Gary, back at the beautiful little ballpark in the west out here. How's the team doing so far?
Well, we're certainly respective on the road, 11 and 12, but at home, I think I'm the jinx because we're 6 and 12 at home, and that's really uncharacteristic of Vancouver teams. They're usually so tough in this ballpark. It appears we haven't learned how to play in this ballpark. We're playing more station-to-station baseball rather than trying to manufacture a few runs and keep them to low-scoring games.
A lot of them are, but so far from what we've seen, the team plays fairly well. They're playing as a unit anyway.
Yeah, defensively we played quite consistent all year, and it's really unique because some of the young pitchers we thought would struggle early in the year, and they've been kind of carrying us, especially on the road, with some outstanding performances, and some of our more experienced pitchers have really struggled.
Well, throughout the course of the year, teams got nothing really to worry about because they always pull out in the end.
No, we're really happy with what California provided this year, and they thought the least of the. They told me as a matter of fact, I was talking with Bill Bavasi and Ken Forsch today from the Angels, and they said the least team we were worried about in our farm system was Vancouver, and we're surprised you people are 6-7 games under 500. So it's a long season, and we'll work this out.
It's nice you've got a good working relationship with the pro team.
No, they're very good, and we've from day one, Ken Forsch has been super to work with, and Bill Bavasi, their GM. They've now got a new farm director, a former bat boy with the team who grew up in the system from the age of 16. He's now 29, and he's the farm director, Jeff Parker, and he also is. Really knows Vancouver and knows the way of life down at the farm, and easy to work with.
Oh, that's important for the team.
Oh, it really is. People have no idea that in this day and age, with the revolving door that seems to be taking place, particularly at AAA, when teams are dumping AAA teams or AAA teams are saying, we've got these beautiful new ballparks and we need to fill them, so therefore the big league club has to always provide us with a contender. That we've managed to have a long-standing relationship with California, and they want to continue it.
Yeah, because one of the complaints that a lot of people have in Vancouver is there's always so much to do here. There's lots of versatility.
Well, I don't know if that's a complaint or is as much as it's nice awareness. Yeah, that the players enjoy playing here. It's a little high, the cost of living, compared to, say, a place like Tucson. But for the most part, the players think it's kind of special to be playing in what's really a major league city.
Well, the site of the 16th annual Harry Jerome Track Classic was well represented by our own local athletes in Delta. They put Delta once again on the map and did a very exceptional job.
Thanks for having me here. Thanks for having the relay team here. We plan on having a good competition today, and hopefully I'll see you guys all next year. Thanks.
The Harry Jerome International Track Classic is Canada's #1 track and field meet. It is held every year at Swangard Stadium. Athletes from Canada, USA, and around the world are here to compete.
Family, friends, and all Canadians. 2 lanes apart, 4 and 6, Ogilvie and Smith. Glenn Smith of Caltech, powering down the home stretch. Glenn Smith, Peter Ogilvie, and in lane 5, Jason Dukowski, Vancouver Olympic Club.
Peter, nice run.
Thank you very much.
Hey, now, Canadian boy done really well. You grew up, you went to St. Thomas More. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Just turned 26. Been competing for the Canadian team for about 9 years. Last year, I decided to make a switch to represent New Zealand. It was just something that came up where I was provided with some opportunities down there that I didn't have here. And I felt the best way to kind of optimize my career at this point in time was to take a gamble and maybe try something different. So it's paid off. I really, like being down there. Certainly the weather is fantastic, and just the environment is quite a bit different than here. So yeah, I'm very positive with that. But basically my career, started within this stadium. I competed at elementary schools here, ran my BC high schools here as well too. So
who got you started in the first place?
Well, I have to go all the way back to my elementary school teachers when I was grade 4. I had about 3 teachers that really encouraged me to come up through elementary school into high school doing track, and it was just, started from there. And then high school certainly a very promising start for me as well too. I made my first national team when I was in grade 12, so I was very lucky. I came in the right time.
Well, I've been involved for 38 years. I started when I was 15 years old. This is my 6th decade of track and field, and I've stuck with the amateur athlete from 1958 on, and this is where it's at.
Oh, you don't look a day over 35, Bill, and I got to give you that. It's nice to have an event like this focus on the Harry Jerome Classic.
Well, Harry Jerome was a personal friend of mine, too, and I actually, to keep Harry's memory alive, Harry Jerome, and most Canadians won't know this, and most people in the world won't know it, but he is the only man that co-held the world 100-meter record and 100-yard record at the same time, and that is a statistic that nobody has yet matched.
Okay, let's talk about some of the young upcoming athletes from our area.
Well, you saw in the earlier today the young relays, grade 4, 5, and 6. We saw in the mile 3 or 4 young athletes, young Perrotta from Kamloops and Hayden from Vancouver College and Simon Holmes from McGee. We saw them on the mile, not the sprints because there isn't a sprint here for them, but that's where it's at, and that's what's bringing these people together and filling the stands, is the mums and dads coming and supporting their kids.
The Harry Jerome Track Classic acts as a development meet for our next generation of track and field stars. In addition to the Canadian and international track stars competing, many of our youth from the Lower Mainland are also here today. Boys and girls from grades 4 through 12 are also trying to take first, second, and third place ribbons home today. Ryan Walters' Score for Charity and Charmaine Crooks are back for their 3rd year, June 19th and 20th. This fun-filled weekend is in support of Hockey Ministries International, Big Sisters of the Lower Mainland, and Surrey Memorial Hospital, here for kids. Today at Planet Hollywood in downtown Vancouver, the media was invited to hear about the great things that will be happening June 19th and 20th. Ryan, big event coming up in the end of June.
Very much so, Steve. Score for Charity has really taken off of late. We will add 2 real cool events. One is for the ladies, in that we'll add a golf tournament with Charmaine Crooks, and it'll be specifically for ladies. I hate to do that because, yeah, oh, absolutely. But my wife Jenny, I'm sure, will participate in that. Then we'll also add a bit of a new feature with the hockey game on the Saturday, and that is we'll sort of pit the Surefoot Log Homes people against the people from McDonald's, and that'll be a sponsorship opportunity where we will fit in NHL players and celebrities within those teams.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I mean, this will be the third year in a row that this is going on, and it keeps getting bigger and better every year. The one thing I'm always impressed with is the amount of people that want to get involved, that want to get on board to help you.
Yeah, and you know, they're the right people at the right time, and our sponsors have been wonderful over the last 3 years. I think the interesting thing too is to have partners like yourself, you know, in the media, where we have an opportunity to get just the message out that we're doing, you know, this charity event, so that the local people can see.
Well, the sponsorship is something that's really needed. You've got Charmaine Crooks on this year with you.
Charmaine's a wonderful lady, and she has been, even behind the scenes in the past number of years, she has been very helpful to Score for Charity. She and Robin Wist work long hours for our event.
Now the women's tournament will be held at Guildford, and the men's at Newlands, and then after everybody gets together for a big party. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The theme of the women's tournament are female Olympians, and so far we have Carol Lee Gartner, gold medalist from skiing. Oh gee, there's so many I can't even remember. Kathy Corona Phillips, also from skiing. Kathleen Heddle, gold medalist rower from Atlanta. So there's a lot of gold medalists hanging around. Maybe some of them will even bring their medals.
The activities for this great weekend include a men's and ladies golf tournament, a dinner, and the Score corporate hockey game held at the South Surrey Arena on Saturday, June the 20th, which will feature NHL players and Hollywood celebrities. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this edition of Sports Wave. It's been a lot of fun putting it together for you. Special thanks to the people at the Sun God Aquatic Center, Jerry Tamboline, the Vancouver Canadians, as well as a special thanks to the people at the Generation 2 Company in Richmond for supplying us with all the information on the knee brace. Couldn't do it without them, and their help was very exceptional. Also, special thanks to the people behind the scenes at the Harry Jerome Track Classic. Also, the track and field icon, as we call him, for the sports in the entire province, Mr. Bill McNulty. A very special thank you. Remember, youngsters, it doesn't matter whether you win or lose in an event like this. It's how you play the game that counts. On behalf of Kevin Adlam, I'm Steve Erickson. Thanks for watching. If you don't play sports, at least be one.
Popularity of swing dancing. Apparently swing is what you need to know to be hip, so we'll show you a few moves tonight at 8.
And I'm not touching any one of those topics, thanks very much. Well, I might go fishing, but that's the best guess I can make, so I'll let you go with that. Thanks, EJ. All right, there we go. Now it's your turn on Hockey Talk. The number is 662-6942. If you're out of town, the freebie around the province is 1-800-663-2299. If you got a fax machine nearby, well, that's easy to do, too. 662-6696. That's Mario and then Pavel's old number. And if you're online, we are live at hockeytalk.net. And don't forget a fabulous Hockey Talk prize package to tonight's most valuable caller, the MVC. We should also tell you that for anybody who gets on the air via fax, email, or on the phone, long distance or otherwise, you have a chance to win tickets for 2 to games 3 and 4 of the Stanley Cup Final, which my guest says is going to be in Detroit. And Mike Keenan, thanks for joining us, and welcome back.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Let's do a quick roll around the world here. You've been bouncing around a little bit. You, first of all, after the season, went to Syracuse. Update on the Crunch.
That's right. We saw them play their second last game of the season. Tough game for them. They had an opportunity to put Hamilton away that particular night, but Hamilton played a very strong game, a road game, came away with the victory, took the series back to Hamilton. Of course, it was tight and close all the way, but we saw some development through the course of the season. I was able to see them in the Olympic break as well, and that gave us a good opportunity to put some at least brief evaluations on the development of the players over the course of approximately 2 months.
Switzerland.
Switzerland was a very good experience. First of all, there were a number of great players playing there from all countries. Of course, not always the best players, but through my own experience in the past, at least a couple of times I've been in that situation, we were able to come away with players such as Kravchuk, for example, for Chicago. It was a huge acquisition for us, and we have our eye on a few players now that we feel can make our hockey club. The difference in this instance is that you have players that have played world-class competition regardless of the fact that a few of the top players are are still playing the playoffs here, you get to see young men play against men, and that's a huge difference from the amateur level. And we've found, and at least the experience has been for other teams, that players that come out of that tournament, if they can sustain a high level of play, they can usually step right in the NHL, and that means a huge boost to the roster and also a huge boost to the organization.
All right, the series at hand, of course, your good friend and mentor, if I may say so, and vicariously or otherwise, is Scotty Bowman, and you, besides which you picked him. On the other hand, they beat the team of which you were the architect a number of years back, but you're not surprised about tonight.
Well, that was interesting in that regard, but Scotty, he is the man who was responsible for me moving my career into professional ranks after coaching in Peterborough and coaching in Oshawa in junior ranks and various other levels of amateur hockey. But I wasn't surprised because I felt that from the onset that Detroit had the most depth, just as it was explained by Ken Hitchcock. What were the strengths of Detroit? Their element of depth that is second to none to the rest of the teams in the league. The go-to guy could be a different guy each and every night. They have 4 or 5 superior forwards, and certainly a couple of offensive defensemen that move the puck particularly well, score in the power play, which was a big part of tonight's contest, and they had real strong goaltending. So Scotty was concerned from the onset whether Osgood could come in and be the goaltender for the Stanley Cup run, and obviously he's proved that to this point. And that fear being taken away from their club, they certainly have the confidence and the depth. They made some moves at the trading deadline to offset Konstantinov's absence. I think that the veteran defenseman they picked up in the trading deadline give them the additional needs that they needed on defense.
The irony, of course, tonight was they sat him out in Mironov, we were talking about. Meanwhile, let's get a call on Zenon. You're first up from Burnaby. Go ahead.
Hi, John. How Mike? How you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Very well, thank you.
Good. I got 2 questions for you. Are you guys surprised that Detroit handled St. Louis so easily tonight? And also, how do you think Detroit will fare against Dallas in the next series? I'll hang up and listen to your response.
Well, I think Mike answered the first half of the question already, and the second half, Detroit-Dallas. Who do you pick? Well, obviously Detroit. You say you're going to the wall with them.
Well, I am, and it's tough to repeat as a champion, but they have the experience and depth, and I think McCowan is one of the guys I was talking about as well, that they picked up the trading deadline. So Jamie played it with Bob Rouse tonight to give him that 5th and 6th pairing that gives him the depth, the physical presence as well, and experience. Dallas has had a very good year, and they've really rebounded from a real setback a year ago. The Oilers beating them in the first round after they had a fabulous year as well, and that's really tough to take, and they learned from those experiences. And they likewise have picked up 2 very important ingredients in Screwdlin and Keane at the trading deadline. It amazes me that the veteran players still the people that seem to find a way to win in the post-season playoff competition, but it's going to be very, very tight, but I still would take Detroit because of their depth.
Fair enough. Well, I think you might be interested in this trivia question. Now we're going to play OK Tire Trivia now. In the long and storied history of the Stanley Cup Finals, there's only been 7 penalty shots. The latest was Pavel Bury's against your Rangers, Mike, back in '94. But did you know that no player has ever scored when given the chance? So tonight's mind-crushing cup quiz is this. Which is the only team to have 2 penalty shots in one Stanley Cup final? Well, I'll tell you, there's a fabulous funky black Hockey Talk T-shirt and a Shark Club gift certificate awaiting a winner. Want you to phone 662-6470. Don't forget that's a different number than our normal Hockey Talk number. Out of town, the freebie is different as well. 1-888-553-5463.
Selecting a tire and automotive services dealer can be puzzling, but it doesn't have to be. OK Tire offers value, service, and over 185 convenient locations across Canada. OK Tire features the Michelin X1 Ultra Premium All-Season Tire with Michelin's 6-year unlimited mileage warranty and road hazard protection. OK Tire stores, where service is the OK difference.
Honey, it's time. Uh-oh. Better get makeup.
To give your car a rebirth, get Maaco's Ambassador Paint for $279.95.
Today, people want to save when they spend their hard-earned money.
And that's what you get at United Furniture Warehouse. Savings. Real savings.
United Furniture Warehouse.
I thought we were outplayed in the first 2 series, but he won them for us. Thanks, George. I'm going to let Coley have this.
Welcome back to Hockey Talk. A 6-1 blowout by Detroit in St. Louis tonight in their own backyard. The Kiel Center was not kind to the St. Louis Blues on this trip. And Mike Keenan, does that surprise you that the team's having trouble in their own backyard throughout the playoffs? Really,
well, it's really been a huge surprise throughout the course of the playoffs to this point. Even Detroit are 3-3 at home. At one time, it was very paramount that you win your home games, and if you could split in the road, you'd be able to win the series, obviously, if you had home ice advantage. But I guess the preparation and the pressure, in particular, when you're at home, the expectation is so high, and I think that you saw some symptoms of that tonight with St. Louis. They weren't able to keep their composure. They took a couple of very poor penalties. Jeff Courtnall took a really poor penalty that cost the team a goal. He came out of the penalty box and it was 3-0, and that was a turnaround point as far as my view of the game was concerned. And it's the pressure and the expectations of being able to put teams away at home.
Daryl's on the line from Pitt Meadows. Go ahead, Daryl.
How you doing, Mike?
Very well, thank you.
I just want to say I think the moves you made so far are pretty good for the team for next year. And now that St. Louis is out of the playoffs, what's the chances of you going for Jeff Courtnall?
Well, I don't know if that makes sense as far as our club is concerned. Now, if we look at the club and where we're going with it, all our left side are very young players. Brad May's 27. Of course, Bertuzzi is about 22 or 3 now. Brashear is 25, and we're looking more at players in their mid-20s rather than 35, and Jeff's 35 right now. And I'm not sure what he'll command for a contract. He's making $2.5 million now. And whether he'll be able to come up with those kind of figures again with a contract that he'll be looking for in the next probably 2 or 3 years, I think, may be difficult for us.
The irony of that is that Jeff Courtnall's agent might be your next boss. That's Mike Gillis. We might talk about that a little bit later. We have a camera at the Shark Club. Go ahead. You're first up.
Hi, it's Jay from Vancouver. Question for you, Mike. Do you think he reinvigorated Grant Fuhr's career?
Well, I think that Grant Fuhr really helped himself, but he was given an opportunity. We had some discussions, and I spoke to Grant and his agent. He felt he was finished, or he wasn't going to be given an opportunity. I had coached Grant in '87, the Canada Cup '87. And of course, had had some experience with him. I felt he deserved an opportunity to come back to prove himself, and he put himself through a lot of work, and we had a lot of trying moments. But I think that certainly he enhanced his career now by 3 or 4 years, and he just received a new contract. So I'm really pleased for him. He's a good man, and he was able to overcome a lot of personal problems. I think he settled his life down dramatically. Bobby Kersey, who is Jackie Joyner's husband, came in and was our off-ice training coach, helped him a great deal, put him on track for his physical conditioning, and now he has a career to sustain. I think he's helped himself a great deal, and I'm proud of him.
He may have the most unique demeanor of goaltenders. You say there are different guys, and he may have the most unique demeanor, and it hasn't changed a bit since his days as a junior in Victoria through his Edmonton days, and now tough night tonight, obviously. Rob from Vancouver, you're up.
Hey, John. Hey, Mike. How you doing?
Good, Rob.
Good. Mike, I'm one of the guys that loves you because I know you're a hated or a loved man. So. Question for you, I guess, being as a coach, I'm just curious how Scotty Bowman seems to get the best out of his players every time there's a big game that comes up. Just going back to Game 7 when they beat you when you were a part of St. Louis organization in overtime, was a little lucky, but he seems to get them to rise to the occasion.
Well, I'm not going to discredit Scotty at all, but I would suggest if Grant was playing rather than John Casey, and not to discredit John, he wasn't of the caliber of Grant, and we did take him to a double overtime 7-game, 1-goal loss. If we had Grant in net, who knows what the history of the St. Louis Blues and Detroit Red Wings would have taken. But that being said, Scotty has the experience now through 25 or 26 years of coaching to know which players and to have a sense for which players are are capable of those big games and putting them on the ice. He's always said the main job or the main responsibility of a good coach is to put the right players on the ice at the right time. And that takes a world of experience to know what the right time is and what players are going to respond to those situations. But he has a tremendous amount of depth in the personnel and the experience of Larionov and Fetisov, for example. He's always talked to me about the leadership qualities of those two veteran players. And I guess the people in Vancouver here would be very familiar with Larionov, but quality people and experienced.
And another one of those in that same league is don't underestimate the value of the assistant coaches. He lets them do their work, and Barry Smith is a guy that Ken Hitchcock's concerned about. As I said, we talked to him a while ago about it. He's a great X's and O's guy, and Scotty has the right guys in the right places, knows how to play the dominoes. And by the way, that goal that Stevie Yzerman, this is a little inside stuff. The end zone camera at Joe Louis Arena, there's a guy that holds it handheld, and he may be the best in the business. And the reason you got such a great look at that, it's probably not a great look for you,
yes.
But the reason you got a great look at that goal was because the guys got to do a handheld from that far down the ice and have the puck go in the top corner is just a fabulous shot by a fabulous cameraman, and of course it'll ever live in your mind in infamy, but that's one thing at a time. Maybe that's too much information. I don't know whether you needed to know all that or not.
I remembered it well.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need the video to see it. We'll be back in a moment with more with your calls and Mike Keenan right after this.
My name is Alex Tay, and I like to play hockey because it's fun, and hockey is my favorite sport, and I think the Dallas Stars are going to win the Stanley Cup because they were the best team, and then it.
I'm Ed Hume of Gardening in America, and homeowners often ask me how they can increase their garden size. Allen Block has come up with the answer, the Allen Block Jr. The patented Allen blocks lock together without mortar, pins, or footing, and simply stack to form beautiful walls that last a lifetime. It's perfect for jobs like raised bed gardens, tree surrounds, and low retaining walls.
For more information, visit your local landscape supply, nursery, or garden center, or call this toll-free number.
In the news tonight, women refused entry to an exclusive male club.
This is Gloria Makarenko with Broadcast One. The Boy Scouts have reiterated no girls.
Broadcast One, local news on CBC, winning you over one viewer at a time.
Feeling alive doesn't only mean moving fast and breathing hard. Alive will show you alternatives. Learn how to experience optimum health in a way that works for you. Alive on CBC.
Near downtown Vancouver, the morning of June 20th, a parade begins at CBC and continues to Robson Square, the beginning of a two-day Aboriginal art and culture celebration. Share the food, share the culture, share the experience. The largest and richest celebration in Canada, recognizing National Aboriginal Day. The Aboriginal Art and Culture Celebration, June 20th and 21st at Robson Square. For tickets, call 280-4444.
For Broadcast One State of the Arts, I'm Dale Drury with what's happening. On Granville Island, the terrible but incomplete journals of John Dee. For tickets, call Rumble Theater at 662-3395. At the Vogue Theater, the 16th Annual Jesse Richardson Theater Awards happening June 14th. And the Vancouver New Music Festival presents cellist Shauna Rolston and the CBC Vancouver Orchestra. Call 280-4444. What's happening on CBC?
Welcome back. Those are the kids from the Youth Inline Hockey out in Coquitlam, and the youngster there picked Dallas. He's going against Coach Mike Keenan, who we welcome back, and we welcome your calls back. Mike, thanks for joining us. Michelle's on the line from Surrey.
Hi, Mike. I just want to say how much I've admired what you've done with the Canucks, and I look forward to next season.
How many people did you tell you were coming here tonight? Good heavens. Nobody's going to cut you up. Keep going. Go ahead. Sorry, Michelle.
Okay, these are all my
relatives.
Yeah, exactly.
I just wanted to know what you thought of Osgood. He let in that long shot from McGuinness, and Dallas does have some good point shot players. And how do you think he'll stand up to that?
Well, that's a good question because Zubov is the first man I can think of who has a shot that may be close to Al McGuinness. Not quite, but I had Zubov in New York, as you know, and he can shoot the puck from the blue line and score, and he always seems to shoot it about 3'11". Osgood's going to have to deal with that, and I think the one thing for sure after they've had this little bit of a glitch or blip in the in the screen here for Detroit, any long shot like that, and I don't know if our fans or audience noticed that tonight that St. Louis started the game, and they took 4 or 5 long shots trying to, I think, shake his confidence a little bit, but I think he'll settle down, but more importantly, I think that they'll take those strong point shooters away from Dallas.
Yeah, this will be, to me, this will be a real chess match the next round. Hitch and his crew with Dougie Jarvis, and as I mentioned, Barry Smith along with Scotty and Dave Lewis, don't forget, too. I think it'll be a real chess match. I mean, they basically took all the St. Louis chances away from them tonight. I mean, you know, McGinnis couldn't load it up, but we'll see what Sedora can do in the next series.
Well, they did, and there's a real wealth of hockey knowledge amongst the coaches and also amongst the players. They're experienced, as we mentioned, some of the players that Dallas picked up to deal with the additional players they have with experience, like Madonna's now a man who's had enough hockey experience, and Newendijk and so on, and Carbino, and those people are very important in the locker room, and that's going to be very interesting to see the matchup comes.
Yeah. The only thing we know for sure, of course, in the next round is there going to be 8 goals scored, 4 in the Buffalo series with Washington and 4 in this series. That's all we know for sure. Online, who's up on email here? Didn't figure that. I'm a math major, right? Mike, is there a particular player in the Canucks are looking at in the upcoming draft? Terry Shiloh of Illinois. All right.
All right, from Chicago land. Well, obviously, with the 4th pick, there's some great young players available to us, and the hardship of last season, we can reap some benefits from it, certainly, in this draft. We don't think that either of the top 2 centermen will be available, but after that, our scouting staff has done a very thorough job and recruited and looked at a number of young men and have actually interviewed a number of young people. We can't really disclose it at this point, but we're very confident that there may be a player that might be close to being able to play in the league next year, and if not, with a year or 2 of experience, and that bodes well with the young players we have now. For example, Matthias probably was the best defenseman in Zurich in the World Championship. Certainly he was voted as Sweden's best defenseman, and they won the championship. So people like that come along around is very important for the future here.
Fair enough. Shark Club, next up, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Marilyn from Kelowna. My question to you guys is, what do you think about the performance bonuses, like the one Fedorov's getting?
Well, that's, thank you, and welcome from Kelowna. That's just a function of the way the contract was structured, Mike, was it not? If I recall, it's just they tried to front-end load it to try and, Carolina did try to discourage anybody else from matching it, and I don't think there's anything said to it, and we discussed this last week, that he's going to get the money regardless. It was just a function of the timing.
Well, that's part of it. Certainly is a huge contract, and he sat out, and it seems that the players in the end will get the money. The only team that could have matched it was Detroit, and they elected to do that. And of course, they've kept the fabulous players very motivated. But the contract issues and the way that they structure them have a lot to do with the gamesmanship amongst the team. But the player, over the course of his contract, is going to be well compensated, and it is front-loaded to try to discourage, as you mentioned, in this case, Detroit, from matching what Carolina had offered, and that's part of the collective bargaining agreement. I don't know if it's a good part of it or not. Certainly, if I was an owner, I wouldn't appreciate it very much, but this is a very competitive market. It makes it very difficult for, as everyone in Canada knows, the Canadian teams to compete on that kind of level, and at the same time for all the teams that compete amongst themselves. It's not only an athletic competition now, it's certainly a lot broader and financially based.
Anthony, you got just a couple of minutes, just less than a minute actually. Go ahead. You're from Vancouver?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm from Peterborough. I'm a big fan of yours, Mike. And I just wanted to ask you, like, you look at 3 of Detroit's defense, and they were run out of Toronto. I'm just wondering, like, the playoffs are about defense, and it seems like Bowman has them just playing beyond their means. Do you find is that Bowman's doing? And also, do you want an older defense with the Canucks?
Those are good questions, and
you've only got 30 seconds to respond.
From Peterborough, you must be watching the Pete's. Larry Murphy's done a super job coming from Toronto, well experienced. Bobby Rouse, McCown, for example. Lindstrom's a big part of that all, and Scotty's got them schooled to move the puck as quickly as they possibly can. They handle the puck well to forwards who have puck possession skills, and that's where their assets come from. But he's looking for people to move the puck, and yes, we'd like some more experience on our defense with quality defensemen, but so would every other team.
Okay, very good. You read a clock better than I do. Thanks very much. Back in a moment with Mike Keenan, the most valuable caller winner, a trivia winner, and a report from St. Louis. Right after.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sports Wave. I'm Steve Erickson, coming to you from the Sun God Aquatic Center in North Delta. Sports Wave is a monthly program that lets you know that little bit more about our amateur athletes in the Delta area. And on this month's program, the Tunneltown Curling Club hosted the Fraser Valley Zone 2's men's curling playdowns. And there's a very talented 12-year-old youngster. Yes, I did say 12-year-old youngster, a swimmer from South Delta who seems to be making big waves. And also, we're going to talk to strength and conditioning coach Peter Twist of the Vancouver Canucks about what these athletes go through. Stay tuned. Sports Wave's up next. Some of the best curlers in the province were in Delta this past month to participate in the Fraser Valley Zone 2 men's curling playdowns. Over 30 teams were competing to be one of the 7 qualifying teams that will represent Zone 2 at the provincial championships to be held later this year. This is curling at its best.
Welcome to the Tunneltown Curling Club, which is located at the South Delta Rec Center here in Tsawwassen. I'm Lorraine Holman, and I'm your guest host here for this event that's happening. It's the Zone 2 Men's Fraser Valley Playdowns, which is the first step on the way to the Brier. 32 teams have been competing here this weekend. We will hopefully bring you some highlights of the finals of the A qualifying games. The zone will have 7 representatives come out of these 32 teams. They will meet at the Pacific Coast Playdowns at the end of January. Meanwhile, also in the Vancouver zone, which is Zone 3, 3 teams will qualify there. 3 teams will qualify from the Open. The teams that didn't make it here this weekend or any other place will have a backdoor open opportunity called the Open Bonspiel. It will be played, I believe, in House Sound. I'm not sure, but 3 teams will emerge from that. So when we have the Pacific Coast Playdown, 16 teams will be bidding for 4 spots. They will meet 4 teams from the interior in Prince George. Anyway, let's get on with it and let's see what's happened. Okay, we are in the 8th end, and we have here Macaulay versus Wilson. And this is Macaulay's final rock in the 8th end. He is leading after 7 ends of play, and but the rock is picked, and what's happening is they're trying to save the end. Wilcock is sitting 1 yellow rock and now has the chance to draw for his deuce to tie the game up at the end of the 8th end. Okay, with Wilcock's last rock, he's attempting to draw for 2 to tie up the game 5-all. Earlier on, with Macaulay's last rock, the rock did pick and obviously didn't make the correct shot by raising a blue one. The sweepers are coming down now. Hopefully, they've got to get this in for the second shot to tie the game. Okay, the sweepers worked really hard on that. The score now, after 8 ends of play, is 5-all. We're here now in the end of the 9th end, and the skip Wilcock is throwing his final rock. He is attempting to draw to the 4-foot as the Macaulay rink is sitting 1 at the back of the button. The fellas are really sweeping it hard. I don't know if he really has enough weight to accomplish what he set out to do, and that is to draw for 1, to pick up the deuce by drawing to the 4-foot, which was what Wilcock attempted himself. Okay, this is Greg Macaulay with his final stone of the 9th end. He's attempting now to draw to the 4-foot for his deuce. Rock looks like it has enough weight, if maybe a little bit strong. Okay, the rock has gone right through. Meanwhile, over on sheet 4, we had another A qualifying game. It was Ted Stanier up against Gary Graham, and Stanier stole the 10th end as Graham attempted to remove the second shot rock. So the A qualifier from the other game is Ted Stanier. We're now into the 10th end, and this is Greg McCauley's final rock. He is sitting 2 and is attempting to bring this rock right down to the full 12 foot. Not having last rock, he's got a guard against McCauley. Rock is coming. The other fellow has last rock and only needs 1 rock to tie the score. This excellent guard shot. This is Wilcox's final stone to try and win the end and tie the score. He is attempting to hit the rock at 2 o'clock, and hopefully it will roll for shot rock. Unfortunately, the rock overcurled, and the McCauley rink now moves on to the next phase as they will represent Zone 2 in the A qualifying round. Okay, well, congratulations, Greg and you boys there. You are the defending champions this year. It's been a tough road on this ice. I know it's a little bit tough, but anyway, can you give me some thoughts on your game today?
We had a pretty good game. The boys picked me up today. I was kind of struggling with my draw weight, and but they picked me up, and we managed to pull through it. The ice got a little tougher and a little flatter in the middle, and I couldn't pick it up as well. And but they held us through. Like the team we are, we're a pretty tough team that way.
Okay, very good. Now, Brent, you had a spill there. How are you feeling? Are you going to have a big headache tomorrow?
Probably. I think I'll have a bit of a headache tomorrow. I took one for the team today, big time.
I think your adrenaline took over.
Well, just wanted to keep her going. Didn't want to stop for too long. I might have been out, maybe.
Okay, now, Brian, I'm going to ask, you've got to come a little forward here. Come closer to me. Now, I want you to be the spokesman for these 3 guys. How long have you 3 been curling together?
I guess it's been about just Brent, Darren and I have been together for about 10 years.
You started off in juniors?
Started off in juniors together. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, and we got to talk to the lead man, too. Step forward, Darren. And what I want to know is, what club did you boys come out of?
We came out of Royal City Curling Club.
This year, but I mean, when you were juniors, how did you all get together?
We curled in a bunch of different clubs, and we used to compete against each other, and then we decided we should curl together instead of against each other. So that was the benefit of it for everybody, I think.
Well, after 10 years, look, you are out here again, and I congratulate you and wish you all the success in the Pacific Coast Playdowns. We would like to see you at the Briar again. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Good luck. Congratulations once again, and good luck at the next level. I know you're going to represent the teams here well. Good battle.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. You need one of these. Good job.
Thanks, Brian.
Good job. I'll try and not break my neck here.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to do what I did.
No. Thank you. Well done. Well, Brian.
Thanks, Frank.
Well done.
Thanks very much.
On behalf of the zone.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much.
Good luck. Thanks, Darren.
Thank you.
Good job. Well done, man. Thank you.
Now that kind of wraps it up for us, and I hope you've enjoyed our short coverage of this major event in the Fraser Valley, which is the Zone 2 Men's Playdown. They will continue on to the Pacific Coast at the end of the month. Thank you very much.
12-year-old South Delta swimmer Jens Cuthbert is on the road to something special. He started swimming at the age of 6 months, and by the age of 5, he was competing in provincial swimming meets. In 1995, Jens began to see some success, winning every aggregate swim meet throughout the season. He took home 4 gold medals at the regionals in Victoria that year. Jens leads a very busy lifestyle, playing other sports like hockey, soccer, and lacrosse. This young athlete has a natural ability, desire, and motivation to excel in whatever he chooses.
I'm 12 years old, and I go to Ladner Elementary. It's a great school. I got a teacher named Anthony Small. Yeah, he teaches me lots of new stuff. And
what grade are you in?
I'm in grade 7 last year in 1999, so it's pretty good.
So you aren't very old. How many years have you been swimming?
I've been swimming eight years now. I've been swimming summer for 7 years, and this is my first year winter.
Why did you switch from summer swimming to winter swimming? Is it because the winter swim program is more intensive?
It is more intensive, but I did that because my long-term goals are to go to the Olympics or the Commonwealth Games and just do my best out there, train my hardest.
What is it you like about swimming?
I like the training and stuff, how you keep in shape, and it's just really fun doing it with other people. You meet new people and everything.
Now, there must be more to just the training and the people, because you're involved in other sports, too.
Yeah, I'm in soccer, and I just quit hockey 2 years ago. I'm in baseball and lacrosse other seasons. I say swimming is one of my best sports because I'm ranked pretty good in my strokes and everything.
Jen's expressed an interest in